I open an internet cafe in Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Class 7 returns to the village. Time flies, and it has been a week since Team 7 left the village for the mission. During this week, Liang has been very melancholy. It's not because he missed Naruto and the others. It's because the business of the internet cafe is getting worse and worse. There are many reasons for the deterioration of business. For example, Liang sold the magic sword and cut a wave of leaks. Another example is that the 9 little strong men went out with the team leader to do the mission, and the 3 classes added up to 12 people. In the case of a small number of customers, the loss of 12 people at once has a great impact on the business of the internet cafe. However, the deterioration of business is not all bad. At least Liang can play games during the day. After these days of fighting, Liang has already cleared Chinese Paladin 1. After clearing Chinese Paladin 1, in addition to recording the practice method of sword control in his mind, he can also practice the skills of Xiaolinga and Linuru. Of course, being able to practice is one thing, and whether you can practice it is another. In reality, he also tried to practice it, and found that he was not a so-called genius. It took him several days to learn the entry-level sword controlling spell, sword controlling technique. Thinking about how Li Xiaoyao in the game could learn sword controlling technique just by watching drunken swordsmen perform it once, his comprehension was simply unparalleled. He couldn't compare to Li Xiaoyao's comprehension. As an ordinary person, he could only rely on the enlightenment room if he wanted to learn high-level spells. 10 million taels per time. I feel so bad. The funds in the internet cafe were barely enough for him to use the enlightenment room once, but he had never made up his mind. After all, it was not at that point yet. Shaking his head, he put the spell aside for now. Looking at the scene of people coming and going outside the alley, he thought of another thing. At this time, it should be the Chunin exam. Another major reason for the decline in internet cafe business is the arrival of the Chunin exam. Those internet cafe customers have gone to maintain Konoha's law and order, so how can they have time to come to the internet cafe to play? Because of the Chunin exam, Konoha has suddenly influxed a large number of people recently. Some of these people are ninjas from other villages who came to participate in the Chunin exams, and some are nobles from other countries who came to watch the ceremony. It's not that no one from other villages has discovered the internet cafe in this alley, but they all chose to stay away from it. 10,000 taels per hour of computer time is simply too cruel. Before they figure out what the internet cafe is used for, they don't want to spend this money in vain. Well, after the Konoha collapse plan is implemented, Konoha needs to regain the confidence of the sponsors, so a large number of ninjas will be sent to do missions. In other words, the internet cafe will have to go through a period of depression. This won't do. It's only been a week, and the business of the internet cafe has made him very depressed. If it's like this for a long time, how can he make money? Well, we have to think of a way to mobilize everyone's enthusiasm. Ding! Just when Liang was thinking of a way, the thoughtful tool system directly sent him a side quest. Side quest: successfully hold an internet cafe event. Mission reward: depends on the situation. Host: please prepare it yourself. Player: well, is this a pillow that comes when you want to sleep? Before this, he didn't know that the internet cafe system actually had side quests. The reward for this quest is also very interesting. The host's reward depends on what kind of event is held, while the player's reward is up to Liang. He can pay for it, and he can just buy something from the mall at that time. It doesn't cost much anyway. He is curious about his own reward. If that's the case, then I'll organize a recharge event where you can get 10,000 for every 100,000 and 150,000 for every 1 million. I don't know if it will work. The one you get will be considered a reward for the players. I don't know what I can get from such an event. Do you want to try it? The system did not make a prompt sound, which means that Liang can organize this event. However, he doesn't know if this event can increase the chance of internet cafes being online. The most important thing is that his own reward may be the worst. After thinking about it, Liang decided not to organize such a pitfall event. In order to increase the chance of internet cafes being online, and for his own reward, this event must be well organized. So what kind of event should be held? There are currently no battle games in the internet cafe, so direct park activities can be abandoned. So how about holding a game speedrun event? This seems possible. Currently, in internet cafes, except for the first Legend of the Jinyang Heroes, the rest of Chinese Paladin 1 and Diablo 2 can be used as games for holding events. However, Liang needs to think carefully about which game to use. Uncle, we are back. Just when Liang was thinking, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto had completed the mission and returned. Welcome back. It seems that you completed the mission very easily. Liang saw that the clothes of the three people were still very clean, and they were not as miserable as in the original book, so he understood that they should have completed the mission smoothly this time. Hehe, it was indeed very smooth. The three smiled at each other, and they were all satisfied with the completion of this mission. Can you tell me about it? Liang was a little curious about how they, who were much stronger than in the original book, completed the mission of Wave Country. Go ahead, I'll tell you. Sitting in the seat of the internet cafe, Naruto began to chatter. This time, except for the battle with Zabuza, which was an obstacle in the mission, the rest of the mission progress can be said to be smooth sailing. The Ghost Brothers are so shameless. After accepting Zabuza and Bay into the team, they arrived at the land of waves smoothly. Just like in the original work, Kado arrogantly appeared on the bridge that was about to be built with a group of rogue samurai, and also mocked Zabuza a few words. Then he was killed by Zabuza and Bay. According to Zabuza, this is a token of surrender. A rebel ninja killed his employer, so it would be difficult for him to get tasks in the underground black market in the future. In this way, if he still wants to survive in the ninja world, he can only follow Kakashi to Konoha and take refuge with the mysterious internet cafe owner. After Kado died, no one harassed him, and the bridge was built in a short time. Then Team 7 spent a day on the journey and returned to the village smoothly today. Well, Kado is dead, so did you go to receive his property? Sasuke, Sakura, Naruto? Hearing Liang's words, the three little strong men were stunned. Is there such a thing? Chapter 50 to Kakashi, you are dreaming. Uncle, this is not good. Killing Kado and then taking over his property. This behavior is like a villain, no matter how you look at it. You guys are so naive. Liang shook his head and continued, as an oligarch who monopolized almost all the materials in the wave country, Kado's property must be at least tens of millions of taels. I would not be surprised, even if it is hundreds of millions. And even if most of it is real estate, the liquid funds should not be less than 5 million taels. Even if you are afraid of humiliating your reputation by doing it yourself, you can also let Zabuza and Shiro do it. They are the murderers who killed Kado. It is reasonable to let them take over the property. TSK, at least 5 million taels in cash. You just gave up like that. After hearing what Liang said, the trio made a heartbroken expression. Among them, Naruto was the most exaggerated and kept calling himself a fool. Sasuke, Sakura, do you think we have enough time to go to the land of waves now? Forget it, Naruto. Let's not talk about whether we can leave the village. Even if we can leave, it's too late to go to the land of waves now. Among the three, only Sasuke, the rich man, calmed down first. When he thought about the large inheritance in his family, he didn't seem to be so distressed about Kado's money. Ah, my money, Naruto wailed. Okay, don't think about these unhappy things. Where are Zabuza and Haku? Where did they go? They followed Kakashi to see the Hokage. Ignoring Naruto, who was still playing tricks, Sasuke directly answered Liang's question. At this time in the Hokage's office, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen looked very troubled by the two people brought back by Kakashi. You say, if Kakashi brought back ordinary people, it would be fine, but he brought back a rebel ninja from the hidden mist, and a user of the beheading sword, which made Sarutobi Hiruzen feel difficult. First, Zabuza is a traitor. What if the Kirigakure ninjas send people to hold them accountable? Will they think that Konoha is supporting Zabuza in making trouble? Second, the beheading sword is one of the 7 swords of Kurigakure. If they come to ask for it, will they give it to him? If one of these two things is not handled well, it will cause diplomatic disputes. If he follows his own personality, he will definitely hand over Zabuza and Haku to the Kurigakure ninjas. In this way, he will not only solve the trouble, but also maybe get some benefits from Kurigakure. However, these two people were specifically requested by Liang. Sarutobi Hiruzen has always been very afraid of Liang. He has not forgotten that Danzo fell into Liang's hands. Before Konoha became strong, he tried not to offend such a person as much as possible. Didn't you see that he recently let Konohamaru go to the internet cafe to play? This is a signal of further goodwill. Now that he has finally improved the relationship between him and Liang, if Zabuza confronts Liang, wouldn't all the previous things be in vain? Accepting Zabuza will offend Kurigakure. If Zabuza is not accepted, it will offend Liang. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly fell into a dilemma. In front of the desk, Kakashi, Zabuza and Haku just stood there waiting for the decision of the third Hokage. Kakashi and Zabuza seemed indifferent. One of them was a Konoha ninja, and he only needed to follow orders. The other one had already accepted his fate, and would accept it, no matter what the result was. Only Haku seemed nervous. He was afraid that Liang's reputation was not as big as Kakashi said. What if the third Hokage finally decided to hand them over to Kurigakure? It didn't matter if he died, but Lord Zabuza must not die. After thinking for a long time, the third Hokage sighed and said, "You guys really know how to give me problems. So what's your decision, Hokage? Will you hand us over to Kurigakure or keep us?" Glancing at Zabuza, who didn't care, the third Hokage finally decided, "Okay, let me just consider this as a favor to Liang. As long as you don't mess around in Konoha, I'll pretend you don't exist. Is that so?" "Thank you, Hokage." The third Hokage made the decision. Zabuza still had a simmer face, but Shiro seemed particularly excited and kept bowing to the third Hokage to express his gratitude. "Remember my words, don't make trouble in Konoha." "Don't worry, Hokage, we will abide by the rules of Konoha." "Well, okay, you can go down." The third Hokage issued an order to expel them, and Kakashi naturally took Zabuza and Shiro out of the office. After leaving the Hokage building, Bei asked, "Kakashi, are you going to take us to see Master Liang?" Kakashi nodded and replied, "Yes." Apart from Liang, the three of them didn't have any common topics to talk about, and Kakashi had already said what they could talk about when they were outside the village, so after he answered Bei, the three of them fell into silence. When the three of them arrived at the internet cafe, they saw a tired and unloved Naruto and a heartbroken Sakura. What happened? Seeing Kakashi asking, Sasuke quickly told Kakashi what had just happened. After listening to what Sasuke said, Kakashi couldn't help but twitch his eyes. Naruto and the others didn't know, but how could Kakashi not know? As the Ninetales Jinchuriki, Naruto, even if there was an elite Jonin like Kakashi in the team, the third Hokage was still worried about the safety of the Jinchuriki. After they left the village, a team of Anbu followed them secretly. If there was no danger, they would not appear. If there was a danger, they would appear in time to save the situation. There was no accident in the land of waves this time. Logically, this team of Anbu would follow them back to the village. However, after dealing with Kado, Kakashi found that this team of Anbu members had disappeared. As for where they went, is there any need to say? Now Naruto regretted what Liang said. Kakashi just wanted to say, "You think too much." Even if Naruto wanted to take over Kado's property at that time, what was waiting for them was only some immovable property that could not be taken away. Want to grab food from Konoha? I think you are dreaming. Of course, in order to maintain the image of Konoha not being a robber, Kakashi would naturally not say it. "Sasuke, aren't you depressed after losing a lot of money?" Kakashi was a little curious about why Sasuke was so calm. Didn't he see that Naruto felt that life had lost its meaning? Even Sakura had a bitter face, so why could Sasuke be so calm? "Well, my family left me some money, so, you know." Kakashi, rich dog. Chapter 53. Everyone is back. While Sasuke was talking to Kakashi, Liang walked in front of Zabuza and Bei, looking at them with a smile on his face. To be honest, Zabuza, who showed his face, could not be said to be ugly, he was just not handsome, a little ordinary. But Bei's appearance was amazing. Even Liang, who had seen many pseudo girls on Earth. Bei, are you really sure you are a boy, not a girl? When Liang was observing the two, Zabuza and Bei were also observing him. Liang looked very ordinary from the outside, just like a big boy next door. Before they understood the situation, it was hard for them to believe that such an ordinary big boy would have such a big face in front of the third Hokage. Just when they were thinking about how to greet him, Liang's words stunned Zabuza and Bei. They didn't expect that Liang would ask this question as the first sentence when they met. I'm very clear about my gender. I'm a boy. When in the Land of Waves, Naruto had discussed the issue of gender with Bei many times. Now that he has entered Konoha and encountered such a problem again, Bei was very helpless. It's not my fault that I'm pretty. Sorry, I was rude. Indeed, asking people this kind of question right after meeting each other only shows that Bei has a good personality. If it was someone else, who knows what they would do? It's okay, I'm used to it. He accepted Liang's apology and thought that Liang was pretty good for apologizing. At least Naruto didn't apologize to him and kept calling him sister. Bei, sooner or later I will castrate Naruto, and then we can call each other sisters. Wouldn't it be beautiful? Asterisk. After chatting with Zabuza and Bei for a while, Liang told them about the situation in the internet cafe. They both felt a little unbelievable when they heard that playing games could make them stronger. However, Zabuza took a look at the three little strong men, especially Naruto. He felt that even such a fool could become so strong, and it seemed that it was not impossible for such a magical thing to become stronger by playing games. In order for the two to understand each other better, Liang paid for them to play The Legend of Jin Yang for an hour. Of course, it was just a matter of exchanging money from one hand to the other, because it was all his, the internet cafe's, money anyway. An hour was enough for the two to understand that what Liang said was true. After confirming the situation of the internet cafe, Zabuza also understood why Sarutobi Hiruzen gave Liang so much face. To be able to open such a magical internet cafe, the boss must be extraordinary. Perhaps Sarutobi Hiruzen had suffered some loss from him, who knows. In this way, Zabuza and Bei successfully joined the company and became two waiters in the internet cafe. Because the internet cafe system has not yet unlocked the employee function, Zabuza and Bei cannot enjoy the benefits brought by the system. The two of them are still just guests. At best they are special guests. Only after the system unlocks the employee can they truly become waiters in the internet cafe. However, Liang is not a devil. He can't let others do odd jobs for him. Anyway, the business has been bad recently. As long as they are not busy, Zabuza and Bei can play games on the computer for free, of course, in normal mode, and they still have to stand up and greet people when they come. Zabuza's injury was also very simple for Liang. It was just that his arms were disabled, not gone. After spending hundreds of thousands of taels, Liang directly used the system skills to restore Zabuza's arms. As for where to live, as I just said, because they were not formal employees, Bei and Zabuza could not live in the internet cafe. After closing at 8 o'clock in the evening, they had to leave the internet cafe. Unless they wanted to become like Dunzo, they could stay in the internet cafe overnight. However, as long as they were normal people, they would not choose to do so. So, this accommodation was a problem. Fortunately, Sasuke stepped forward at the critical moment. There were still many empty rooms in his house. It was not impossible to separate two of them for Zabuza and Bei to live in. But he also had a request, that is, to let Zabuza and Bei be his sparring partners. Zabuza and Bei had no objection to using labor in exchange for accommodation. So, the problem of accommodation was solved happily. 2 more days passed. During these 2 days, the members of Team 8 and Team 10 also completed their tasks and returned to the village. They were not as lucky as Team 7, who encountered a Jonin level master during their mission. Their missions were very ordinary, just escorting the mission person to a certain place. The mission was very simple, and they did not encounter any decent enemies, but the distance was relatively far. That's why they were 2 days behind Team 7 and only returned to Konoha now. The return of the 3 team members immediately increased the attendance rate of the internet cafe. In the internet cafe, Asuma was playing Chinese Paladin 1 while talking to Kakashi next to him. The day after tomorrow is the Chunin exam. I don't know if K can make it back. Speaking of K, what mission did he go on? I don't know. I only know that it seems to be a B-level mission. It's not dangerous, but it's very tedious. At this point, Asuma paused and continued, you know that K doesn't return to the village as quickly as possible after completing a mission. Instead, he returns while exercising. Maybe K is on his way back to the village now. As K's fated opponent, Kakashi naturally knew that with K's personality, he could really do such a thing as walking and exercising. Don't worry, K will definitely make it back. The fact is just as they said. In fact, as early as when Team 7 dealt with Kado, Team 3 led by K also completed the mission. It's just that they didn't return to the village as quickly as Team 7 did. Instead, as Asuma said, K and Rock Lee walked upside down all the way, exercising while walking towards Konoha. After several days of long journey, they finally returned to Konoha. The first thing Tenten and Niji did after returning to Konoha was to go home and take a good bath. When they learned that K was back, it was already the next day. Hey, there is such a fun place, you must take me there. In the Hokage's office, K, who had submitted the exam members, heard Asuma and Kakashi talking about the internet cafe and immediately felt very interesting. K, the exam will officially start tomorrow. There are more strangers in the village now. As Jonin, we must maintain the law and order of Konoha. That's right. Kakashi and Asuma both felt that on such an important day, they should not go to the internet cafe. Jonin should act like Jonin, even if they are not in Boo. Chapter 54 Conflict? Okay, since you all said so, then I will run around Konoha 300 times, just as patrolling. After saying that, Ake ran out of the Hokage building and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Okay, let's go too. Yeah. Kakashi and Asuma are naturally not like Ake, they have their own style of doing things. For example, Kakashi stood in the downtown area of Konoha, looking at the intimate paradise in his hand, while observing the surroundings. And Asuma, this guy's dating Kurenai. Of course, if you insist on saying that he is patrolling with Kurenai, this is also reasonable. In short, almost all the Jonin in Konoha village have taken action, maintaining the law and order in the village in their own way. On the street only 2 blocks away from the internet cafe alley, Sarutobi Konohamaru walked backwards while telling his friends Moji and Juden how to kill people in the game. He didn't expect that he would knock down people, and there were 2 people from other villages. Fortunately, Konohamaru is much stronger than he is in the original novel. He used light footsteps to dodge the moment he touched someone. The person who was touched wanted to teach Konohamaru a lesson, but after seeing Konohamaru's exquisite steps, he was stunned. Temari, are all the little devils in Konoha so powerful? The goddess named Temari shrugged and said, Kankuro, you ask me, who should I ask? This is my first time in Konoha. Well, let me try. The guy named Kankuro wanted to reach out and grab Konohamaru. Konohamaru would naturally not be caught so easily, and immediately wanted to use light footsteps' small range teleportation ability to escape. But although light footsteps is powerful, it also depends on the person who uses it. Konohamaru is only 8 years old now, and he has not reached the standard of genin in terms of chakra volume or physique. After Kankuro got a little more serious, he was tripped by the chakra line. What? It turns out he's just an ordinary kid. Konohamaru tripped and fell to the ground, and Kankuro took advantage of the situation to lift him up, and his words were very arrogant. Asshole, let me go. Konohamaru was naturally going to resist being lifted up, but unfortunately his arms and legs were too short to touch Kankuro's body. At this moment, a figure appeared behind Kankuro, patted him on the shoulder and said, friend, that's enough. Who? Kankuro was frightened by this person and broke into a cold sweat, but he did not let go of Konohamaru, but chose to jump away from the spot and turned around with Temari to be alert to the person coming. Brother Naruto, save me. It turned out that the person who came was Naruto. Do you know who this kid is? If he is not careful, it will cause a war between Konoha and Sunagakia. So, you want a war? When returning to the village, Kakashi had already told the three about the Chunin exam, and in the past few days, they also found that many strangers did appear in the village. When Naruto saw Kankuro and Temari's forehead protectors, he knew that the two should be genin from Tsunagakure, who came to take the Chunin exam. Huh? Is this kid so important? Then tell me, who is he? Kankuro still looked arrogant, obviously not believing what Naruto said. Temari seemed very cautious, wanting to hear what Naruto had to say. Listen carefully, the man in your hands is called Sarutobi Konohamaru, the nephew of Konoha Jonin Sarutobi Asuma, the grandson of Konoha's third Hokage, the young master of Konoha's ninja family Sarutobi, and more importantly, he is also my Uzumaki Naruto's younger brother. You don't know until you say it, and you'll be shocked when you say it. Kankuro and Temari really didn't expect that a child they just grabbed would be the grandson of the third Hokage. As for Naruto's younger brother, they subconsciously ignored it. You are so brave to attack the grandson of the Hokage in Konoha. Now I give you two choices. First, let Konohamaru go and apologize to him. Second, let me beat you up and then apologize to Konohamaru. Originally, after learning about Konohamaru's identity, Kankuro wanted to let it go. But after hearing what Naruto said, Kankuro couldn't stand it. I'm also the son of the fourth Kazekage. In terms of background, I'm not worse than your little brat. Oh, I want to see if your strength is as big as your words. Seeing that Kankuro would not let him go, Naruto had no choice but to make seals with his hands. Multiple shadow clone technique. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, Naruto created at least hundreds of shadow clones. The reason for creating so many was mainly because he was afraid that Kankuro would hurt Konohamaru. It would be great if Kankuro could be scared by these shadow clones. To be honest, Kankuro was indeed scared. He had never seen or heard of such a large number of shadow clones. However, Kankuro was a man who cared about his reputation. Now he was in a dilemma. If he listened to Naruto and let Konohamaru go, where would his reputation be? If he didn't listen to Naruto, he felt that he couldn't beat the guy on the other side. If he got beaten up, he would still lose face. Fortunately, he was not alone now. As Temari's sister, she naturally knew what kind of person her brother was. Seeing that Kankuro was about to be beaten, she quickly snatched Konohamaru from Kankuro and let him go. Konohamaru, are you okay? Konohamaru was released, and Uden and Moji, who had been nervous, hurried forward to ask. It's okay, just my hand hurts a little. I'm glad you're okay. Konohamaru was talking to his two friends, and Naruto saw Konohamaru coming back, and also released a large number of shadow clones. Congratulations on making the right choice. Now, as long as you apologize, this matter will be over. Naruto thought that his request was reasonable. It was no big deal to just apologize for bullying someone. At this time, they had something to say, but Kankuro didn't think it was reasonable. Asshole, we have already let him go, and you still want us to apologize? I tell you, it's impossible. Kankuro. Seeing that Kankuro was about to humiliate himself, Temari, as an elder sister, bowed quickly and said to Konohamaru, I'm sorry little friend, we were wrong just now, please forgive us. Okay, for the sake of the beautiful big sister, I forgive you. Konohamaru is sensible. If he keeps making trouble, there will definitely be trouble. Now is the time for the Chunin exam, and he doesn't want to cause trouble for his grandfather. Okay, Konohamaru forgives you. This matter ends here. Sakura, you don't have to keep an eye on him, and Sasuke, don't bother with the guy carrying the gourd. We can go now. What? Temari and Kankuro were shocked again when they heard what Naruto said. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 Conflict. They followed Naruto's gaze and found that about 5 or 6 meters away from them, a girl with pink hair was standing on a house and watching them. And on a big tree not far from the girl, a handsome man was watching the shadows next to him with caution. Just at this moment, a man with a gourd on his back and a tattoo of love on his forehead came out of the shadows. Gaara, Kankuro and Temari were shocked. They were shocked that they were being watched by the girl, but they didn't notice it. They were also shocked that Gaara, who had always been lawless, was restrained by the handsome man. That's right, they thought Gaara was restrained. Otherwise, with Gaara's temperament, he would have taken action long ago. Interesting. Konoha's ninjas are really interesting. Tell me your names. Gaara looked calm, but a little crazy. I don't know why. Looking at Gaara like this, Naruto actually had the idea of making friends with him. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Uchiha Sasuke. Hiruno Sakura. After the three little strong men gave their names, Temari immediately reacted and said, my name is Temari. Then Kankuro also reacted and said, Kankuro. Gaara. After giving each other their names, the three members of Team 7 were ready to leave with the Konohamaru army. At this time, since you are so interesting, then you all die here. Sand Shuriken. Gaara attacked without any warning. The three little strong men reacted quickly. Naruto directly carried the people of the Konohamaru army away from the spot. Sakura instantly appeared in front of Kankuro and Temari, restraining the two. And Sasuke directly launched a ninjutsu at Gaara. Fire style, great fireball technique. Chakra was input and sprayed out of the mouth. Suddenly, a large fireball with a diameter of 3 or 4 meters was formed and blasted towards Gaara. Facing the attack of the fireball, Gaara stood there without moving and was directly blocked by his sand. On the contrary, Sasuke was forced to jump away from the tree by Gaara's sand shuriken. Run quickly, or you will be killed by Gaara. Temari and Kankuro knew how terrifying Gaara was. From childhood to adulthood, as long as Gaara showed murderous intent to kill someone, that person would be prepared to die directly. In order not to cause trouble for her own village, Temari quickly reminded the people of Konoha to run quickly. It doesn't matter, my two teammates are very strong. Hiruno Sakura recognized the strength of Sasuke and Naruto. Not to mention the martial arts they obtained in the game, their own strength alone was not comparable to that of ordinary genin. Gaara is different from ordinary ninjas. Anyway, run quickly. It's too late. Sakura didn't know that there was a monster sealed in Gaara's body, but Temari knew it. Seeing that Sakura was unmoved, Temari was anxious and kept urging them to run. At this time, she saw from the corner of her eye that Gaara had erupted with a large amount of sand, and it also wrapped Naruto, who was about to step into the battlefield. Sand? Seeing that the sand was about to wrap his whole body, Naruto was not in a hurry and was not less panicked. Originally, I wanted to make friends with you, but since you are so arrogant, then I can only. Fuck it. Kuroma, lend me some chakra. No problem, kid. For some reason, Naruto heard a hint of gloating from this sentence. But now the situation can't let Naruto analyze this sentence. He now has only one idea, that is to beat Gaara up. However, this time Gaara miscalculated. The sand would indeed protect him, and the sand was directly scattered when facing Naruto's terrible punch. Bang! Gaara was directly knocked away by a punch. Facing this scene, everyone at the scene was dumbfounded. Kankuro and Temari were shocked that Gaara was actually knocked away. Sasuke and Sakura were shocked because it was the first time they saw Naruto burst out such a powerful and evil chakra. Compared with the previous Naruto, it seemed a little different. However, the Konohamaru Corps did not have any extra feelings, but just kept cheering for Naruto. Asshole, Uzumaki Naruto, I will kill you. I must kill you. Naruto was a little surprised. Although he did not use all his strength in this punch, it was enough to knock out a genin. Looking closely, Gaara not only did not faint, but he seemed even more irritable. Is the surface of the body also protected by sand? No wonder I didn't knock you out. But it doesn't matter, it's just a matter of a few more punches. Just when Naruto wanted to take a few steps forward and continue to punch Gaara, the Ninetales suddenly retracted its chakra. What's wrong with Kurama? I'm having a great time. Naruto is pretending to be cool here. What do you mean by suddenly retracting your chakra? Are you trying to play me? Someone is coming. Kurama didn't mean to play Naruto, it just sensed that someone was approaching quickly nearby. What happened here? A few seconds later, 3 Endo wearing masks appeared here. Looking at the messy scene, they naturally knew what happened. But according to the procedure, they had to ask. It's okay, we are just sparring. Yes, it's the first time we've seen genin from other villages, so we couldn't help but spar with them. Seeing the arrival of the Konoha and Buu, Temari and Kankuro were afraid that Gaara's identity would be exposed, so they quickly spoke up and said that they were just sparring and it was no big deal. Chapter 56 Naruto, money or another fight, your choice. Yes, we were just sparring. Naruto nodded, confirming what Temari and the others said. That's right. Although I don't know why Naruto agreed with the other side, since Naruto has accepted this reason, there is no need for Sakura and Sasuke as teammates to disrupt it. Sparring? Looking at this damaged street, the flames still burning, and the mess, you tell me that this is a sparring? Fortunately, the location here is offset, and there are not many people living here, otherwise I don't know how many civilians will be harmed. The three Enbu's eyes twitched, and then they said lightly, you should find a better place to spar. This is a street. What if someone is injured? Go to the Konoha office and pay the fine yourself. If it were done according to the previous rules, Naruto and Gaara would definitely go to the Konoha office building to explain the matter clearly. But now Konoha is holding the Chunin exam, and too many people from other villages have entered Konoha. For the sake of Konoha's image, things like this are generally made small and minor. Just pay the money that caused the damage here to the Konoha office. As for the repair work here, naturally other departments will be responsible. After criticizing a few words, the three Enbu left. Seeing the Enbu leave, Temari and Kankuro breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Gaara nervously, hoping that he would not mess around again. Fortunately, Gaara behaved very quietly this time, just staring at Naruto, and did not show the desire to attack. The matter was over, and Team 7 and the Konohamaru Corps were also ready to leave. Okay, you go and pay the money for the repairs here, and we will leave first. Huh? Are you asking us to pay it all? Don't you have any responsibility at all? It's not that Temari can't afford the money, but it's obviously the common responsibility of both parties. Why should only they pay it? Hearing Temari's words, Naruto laughed. First, you should know clearly what caused the incident. How about I let Konohamaru tell his grandfather, and then you can talk to his grandfather directly. Second, it was the one with the good on his back who attacked us first. We just fought back in self-defense. If you are not convinced, then let's fight again. As we all know, Uzumaki Naruto is a poor guy. Fighting is fine, but asking him to pay is impossible. Moreover, the reason he gave is reasonable. You were the one who started the incident, and it was your people who started the fight first. So why do you want to blame me for paying? I, Uzumaki Naruto, am a reasonable person. If you can convince Konohamaru's grandfather, or beat me, then I don't mind paying a penny. Let Temari and the others convince the third Hokage? Haha, just think about it, and you will know that this is impossible. As for beating Naruto, judging from the fact that Naruto burst out orange-red chakra, this guy might also be a monster. Even if Temari is very confident in Gaara, he cannot reveal Gaara's full strength at this stage. So they can only admit this loss. Seeing that Temari and Kankuro were silent, Naruto nodded, called his friends, and left. The Chunin exam will officially begin tomorrow, and today they are going to go to the internet cafe to relax. Sure enough, Naruto is worthy of being my big brother. He only punched the guy with black eyes and sent him flying. It's amazing. Before they walked far, Konohamaru couldn't help but praise Uzumaki Naruto. Yuden, Moji, yes, Naruto is really amazing. Haha, it's okay. Laughing, Naruto neither admitted nor denied. Then he talked to the three little guys again, leading the topic to the game. Seeing that the three of them were chatting enthusiastically and had forgotten what happened just now, he called out the Ninetales in his heart. Kurama, do you know that Gaara? Naruto remembered the gloating tone of Kurama at that time and immediately wanted to ask clearly. I don't know that kid, but I know what's inside him. Something inside. Could it be that yes, he is also a Jinkriki, and the tailed beast inside him is Shukaku, the one tail? That's clear. No wonder when I saw him for the first time, I felt that this person was a bit similar to me. I was still wondering where the similarities were. It turns out that we are all Jinkriki. I learned from Liang that most Jinkriki have lived a miserable life since childhood. In Naruto's opinion, Gaara's childhood should be similar to his. He couldn't buy food and could only eat some junk food. He had no friends and had to face the hostility of the people around him. Only those who have lived such a life know. Kurama, how is your relationship with the other tail? You are both tailed beasts, so your relationship should be good, right? Who told you that the relationship between us tailed beasts is good? Huh? Could it be that your relationship is very bad? Well, that guy called Shukaku is simply an egomaniac. He has the least tails among all the tailed beasts, but he often challenges me and wants to be the big brother of the tailed beasts. I naturally won't indulge him. I beat him half to death every time. As time goes by, our relationship is getting worse and worse. So, the strength of your tailed beasts is ranked by tails. Naruto thought very simply. Since Liang said that the 9 tails is the strongest tailed beast, and it also has the most tails, then does it mean that the more tails it has, the stronger it is? That's not the case. The number of tails only determines the capacity of chakra. Shukaku has the least chakra among our tailed beasts, but it is not the weakest. Nodding, Naruto agreed with what the 9 tails said. Think about it, with his current chakra amount, it is definitely more than most Jonin. But can he beat these Jonin without relying on the chakra burst of the 9 tails? Of course he can't win. Even if he bursts, it is estimated that it will be difficult. As for the ranking of the 9-tailed beasts, the 9 tails didn't say anything, so Naruto naturally didn't ask too much. Naruto, what's the matter with your orange-red chakra? Along the way, Sakura and Sasuke seemed very entangled. They really wanted to know what the evil chakra was. However, this was Naruto's secret after all. Would asking rashly make Naruto unhappy and affect their friendship? But if they didn't figure it out, they would feel depressed. Sasuke was still calm. After all, he had heard Liang talk about the tailed beasts, so he was guessing whether the chakra was related to the tailed beasts. Sakura didn't know what the tailed beasts were, so she finally asked Naruto. You are talking about that chakra. Let's talk about it privately when we get to the internet cafe. Tailed beasts and Jinkriki are still relatively confidential information in the ninja world. Naruto is not sure whether the 3 people in Konohamaru's army will be affected after hearing it. So he thought that if Sakura wanted to know, it would be better for him to tell her in private. Okay. Chapter 57's Abuser. Boss, I'm injured and I need to rest. Today's internet cafe is still so deserted. From time to time, members of the Anbu come to buy primary magic swords from him, which makes the amount of money in the internet cafe not so ugly. The Chunin exam will officially start tomorrow. After passing the re-examination, Liang decided to immediately launch a game speed pass event without waiting for the Konoha collapse plan. There is a month between the re-examination and the final battle. God knows what will happen in this month. The sooner the event is launched, the better to make money. At that time, use the game Diablo 2. Because this game can be played online, the competition can be divided into 2 modes. Single group and online group. Liang has already thought about it. The single group uses nightmare difficulty to enter the game, and the online group uses hell difficulty to enter the game. The super high difficulty will definitely bring unprecedented experience to the participating players. Thinking of his feelings when playing the hell difficulty, Liang can't wait to launch the event immediately, so that these ninja rookies can also experience this sour feeling. Welcome. Just as Liang was thinking about the online team being slaughtered by the monsters in the game, Bei's welcome voice came from the door. Speaking of Bei, I have to praise him. As one of the only 2 waiters in the internet cafe, Bei did a very good job. Even when there were not many people in the internet cafe, Bei did not use this time to play games on the computer, but stood at the door and acted as the internet cafe's welcome. Compared with Bei, Zabuza is much more of a mess. As soon as he arrived at the internet cafe, he would directly find a computer to play games. If it weren't for taking care of Bei's feelings, Liang really wanted to kick this guy out of the internet cafe. Boss, turn on a computer for me. A hoarse but slightly magnetic voice came, and Liang didn't even raise his head and sat directly in front of the computer to accept the 10,000 teals. There are many empty computers here, you can sit anywhere. If you don't understand anything, you can ask Bei, the welcome at the door. I see. The man didn't say much, just found a seat and sat down. Not long after he sat down, the three little strong men of Team 7 arrived at the internet cafe with the Konohamaru army. Boss, we are here. As soon as they entered the internet cafe, Konohamaru and the other two greeted Liang and went to find their seats. Tomorrow is the Chunin exam. Don't you need to prepare? Liang didn't care about Konohamaru and the other two. Anyway, there was still a lot of the 1 million Ryo that Sarutobi Hirozen had deposited with him, enough for Konohamaru and the others to play for many days. He focused his attention on the three little strong men. Generally speaking, before such a major exam, the parents of each party would give their children intensive tutoring. Didn't you see that the people from Team 8 and Team 10 didn't come today? We have nothing to prepare. Hearing Naruto say this, Liang thought about it and agreed. Naruto and Sasuke are, needless to say, two orphans, and no one tutors them. Sakura is not an orphan, but her parents are ordinary people and don't know what the Chunin exam is about. How can they tutor her? So the three decided that they might as well come to the internet cafe to play for a day. Boss, let me tell you. Uchiha Sasuke. Just as Naruto wanted to tell Liang what happened just now, the man with a hoarse voice suddenly stood up from his seat, looked at Sasuke with an excited face and said, I'm so lucky today. I don't have to go out of my way to find you. Only then did Liang see what this man looked like. Pale and delicate skin, long hair as black as night, tall and slender figure, sharp lavender eyes, and his hoarse voice. Even if this man looked like a woman, Liang was sure that this guy must be Orochimaru. Just as Liang recognized the identity of this man, Orochimaru suddenly stretched his neck, showing his fangs, and bit directly at Sasuke. Sasuke did not move. It was not that he could not react, but he knew that if he made trouble in the internet cafe, Liang would definitely not ignore it. Sure, just when Orochimaru was about to bite Sasuke and Liang was about to take action, a figure flashed by, grabbed the long neck, and threw Orochimaru out of the internet cafe. Hey, I didn't expect you to attack. That's right, it was Zabuza who attacked. After all, I'm also a member of the internet cafe. Don't treat me as a freeloader, okay? Okay, you will be the security guard of the internet cafe in the future. Liang was naturally happy that Zabuza attacked, so that he could save money to use his skills. At this moment, Liang thought it would be better not to chase Zabuza away. Momochi Zabuza? I didn't expect you, a rebel ninja from the mist, to appear in Konoha. It's really interesting. Orochimaru was not injured and did not continue to attack, but looked at Zabuza with interest. Do you know me? Zabuza frowned. He didn't know this pervert with a long neck who wanted to bite people. Forget it, you don't have to say who you are. I'm not interested in knowing about unknown people. After that, Zabuza turned to Liang and asked, Boss, do you need me to kill him? Now, Zabuza felt very comfortable. Since meeting Team 7, he hasn't experienced this kind of pretentious pleasure for many days. Now that a minor character suddenly appears, he must seize the opportunity. But why are you looking at me with such a weird look, boss? Zabuza was confused for a moment. If you can kill him, I don't object. Okay, why think so much? Since the boss doesn't object, this moment is the moment for me, Zabuza, to show off. Well, should I use the water dragon bullet technique or just use physical techniques to kill him? Alas, it's a kind of trouble to be too strong and know too many skills. Forget it, let's use ninjutsu. Only ninjutsu can reflect the strength of this uncle. Just when Zabuza was about to make a sealant attack, Liang suddenly said lightly, I forgot to say that the guy on the opposite side is not an unknown person, but one of the three ninjas of Konoha, Orochimaru, who was known as the Cold King. Namahai. Boss, don't you know that panting can kill people? After hearing Liang's words and learning the identity of the pervert opposite him, Zabuza's hands, which were still in seals, almost cramped. The mobilized chakra had no place to release and was now running wild in Zabuza's body. Fortunately, Zabuza was strong enough If a ninja was hit like this, it would be good if he was not seriously injured. Boss, I can't do it anymore. I'm injured. I'm so weak. I need to rest. Now it was Liang's turn to shout fuck it. Looking at Zabuza lying on the ground with a shameless look of dying, Liang thought he should find a chance to get him out. There was no way. Zabuza's performance was really a bit eye-catching. He looked so arrogant before, but after learning the identity of the other party, he immediately changed his face and acted like a rogue. This kind of slutty and coquettish look you might have possessed Waizao when watching TV series. Chapter 58. You are Orochimaru from the Ninja Studio next door, right? Haha, I didn't expect to be recognized like this. Orochimaru at this moment was not his original appearance, but a woman's face. Come on, except for you, Orochimaru, who can stretch their neck so long. Rolling his eyes, Liang continued, well, no matter what you intend to do to Sasuke, it won't work on me. Is that so? Orochimaru did not refute. He just experienced the legend of Jin Yang. Although he used the normal mode, after controlling the game character, to learn the Sangfeng swordsmanship, the same swordsmanship appeared in his mind. Having seen such a magical scene, Orochimaru naturally thought that the boss Liang's strength was higher, and it was very high. Therefore, when Liang showed an attitude of wanting to protect Sasuke, Orochimaru naturally gave up the idea of continuing. In that case, I look forward to meeting you next time. After saying that, Orochimaru began to sink slowly, and it seemed that he was leaving. Wait, you haven't used up your 1 hour online time yet, and you're leaving now? Don't you think it's a waste? Well, when hearing this, not only Zabuza was stunned, but even Orochimaru was stunned. Can I continue playing? Of course. Liang nodded and said, as a matter of course, since you come to my internet cafe to play, you are my guest. I always treat guests equally. What a fair treatment. If it weren't for Zabuza's move, he almost believed it. However, thinking carefully, it seems that Liang didn't show any hostility towards him from beginning to end. Looking at Zabuza, who was still lying on the ground pretending to be dead, Orochimaru smiled playfully and said, okay, then I'll continue playing for a while. Okay, everyone go back to the internet cafe. After saying hello, Liang turned around and started to walk into the internet cafe. Seeing that there was no excitement to watch, everyone turned around and entered the internet cafe. Wait a minute. At this moment, Orochimaru suddenly called everyone. What else are you going to do? Liang asked puzzledly, looking at Orochimaru, who only half of his body was exposed. Hey, I seem to be stuck. Can you come and pull me out? Damn, you guys are sent by God to tease me. First it was Zabuza, and then Orochimaru. Zabuza, the early small boss, is not to be mentioned, but you are the full-fledged Orochimaru. You are so funny. Does Kabuto Yakushi know? Liang covered his face and said to Naruto, Naruto, go and pull him out. Okay, uncle. Naruto agreed smoothly, but facing such a weirdo, Naruto did not stupidly stay on the main body, but split to shadow clones and let the clones go. The two shadow clones came to Orochimaru. One of them pulled an arm, and Orochimaru was pulled out with a force. Fortunately, this guy didn't do anything else. When seeing the shadow clone pulling Orochimaru's arm, Liang was afraid that his arm would become as long as his neck. Fortunately, everything was normal. Everyone returned to the internet cafe, and the Konohamaru army went straight to play games. After hesitating for a while, Zabuza chose to stand guard at the door with Haku. He must have felt a little embarrassed by the scene just now. After re-entering the internet cafe, Orochimaru wanted to kill the last bit of time. He was indeed more interested in games. But it was not because of the martial arts in it, but because he wanted to know what the mechanism was. Why did he seem to have learned a sword technique just by playing games casually? For a scientist like Orochimaru, it doesn't matter whether it's a game or not. Knowing the principles is the most important thing. As long as he knows the principles, doesn't it mean that he can also make such a computer? Can he also open an internet cafe of his own? At this moment, Sasuke suddenly came to Orochimaru and asked indifferently, why did you attack me just now? Haha, I didn't expect you to be so brave. Orochimaru did not answer Sasuke directly, but praised him first and then said, "If I said it was because of Uchiha Itachi, what would you do?" According to the information sent by Kabuto, Sasuke would fall into a state of rage and lose his composure as soon as he heard the name of Uchiha Itachi. As long as Sasuke lost his composure, he would have a chance to get Sasuke. Orochimaru's calculations were very loud, but he miscalculated this time. Sasuke did not fall into a rage after hearing the name. "Tell me, where is that man now?" Sasuke is not as reckless as in the original work. He has now doubted the truth of the extermination of the clan, because there are too many unreasonable places. For example, what are the other ninjas of Konoha doing when such a big thing happened? Uchiha Itachi killed the whole clan. Why did he leave only him? After learning about Naruto's life experience, Sasuke felt that the darkness in Konoha was beyond his imagination. Since Konoha was so dark, was the truth he learned true? Maybe the Uchiha clan was exterminated by Konoha behind the scenes. Just look at Naruto next to him, and you will know that the son of the 4th Hokage and the hero of Konoha village are all treated like this, not to mention the Uchiha who has a lot of conflicts with the village. Why should I tell you? It's not that Orochimaru can't answer Sasuke's question, but he believes that there must be rewards for what you pay. He paid for Itachi's information, so he must get corresponding rewards. What do you want? Hearing this, Orochimaru showed his tongue, licked his lips and said, "Your body, MD dead pervert." If Sasuke didn't know that he couldn't beat Orochimaru, he would definitely knock him out when he left. "Got, you want a body? I'm not gay, bastard. Pervert. Sorry to bother you, goodbye." Sasuke decided to stay away from Orochimaru in the future, not for anything else, just to preserve his chastity. After all, her virginity will be given to Naruto in the future, and she will have children for the Uchiha family. Orochimaru was not annoyed when Sasuke left. There are many people who regard him as a pervert, so who is Sasuke? He doesn't mind others treating him as a pervert, he just needs to achieve his own goals. Is this okay? Just say it directly. It doesn't matter. I believe that, as long as Sasuke still has the desire to become stronger and the obsession to kill Itachi, I think he will definitely come to me. Liang originally thought that Orochimaru would have some earth-shattering plan, but it turned out to be just this. Sure enough, you should be the funny Orochimaru in the Lee Ninja version next door. Orochimaru. What do you mean? Liang. What do you think my internet cafe is used for? The Uchiha family left a large inheritance to Sasuke. Do you think Sasuke, who has so much money, can't become stronger here? Orochimaru. Deg. Chapter 59 revealed. Well, Orochimaru admitted that he had become stupid. With the existence of this magical internet cafe, it was only a matter of time before Sasuke wanted to become stronger. Then the question was, without the excuse of increasing strength, how could Orochimaru deceive Sasuke? The main reason you want to get Sasuke's body is because of the Sharingan. It seems that nothing can be hidden from you, boss. In the original work, Orochimaru did not covet the Sharingan before the plot began. Otherwise, it would be very easy for him to get a pair of 3 Magatama Sharingan for himself with his cooperation with Danzo. At that time, he had not suffered from Uchiha Itachi's Mangeki. In the Akatsuki organization, after being killed by Uchiha Itachi's Mangeki Sharingan in seconds, he realized that the Sharingan evolved into the Mangeki Sharingan would be so strong. At this time, he developed a strong interest in the Sharingan. If I give you a pair of Sharingan now, will you give up on taking Sasuke's body? Boss, do you still have Sharingan? Orochimaru thought about it with interest, and then said, it feels a bit difficult. After all, I'm not of Uchiha bloodline. Even if I get Sharingan, I can't open and close it freely. What's more, what I need is Mangeki. I don't like ordinary Sharingan. Liang nodded. It is really not convenient for people without Uchiha bloodline to use Sharingan. Just look at Kakashi. In normal times, Kakashi will cover his left eye with a forehead protector. Only in battle will he pull open the forehead protector to reveal Sharingan. The disadvantage of not being able to close freely is really annoying. And as Orochimaru said, what he needs is Mangeki, not ordinary Sharingan. Sasuke, this genius, undoubtedly has the potential to evolve into Mangeki. But when it comes to Sharingan, Liang suddenly feels that he seems to have overlooked something very important. That is the problem of Sasuke's Sharingan. In the original work, Sasuke's Sharingan had already awakened when Itachi cast the illusion of Tsukuyomi on him on the night of the Uchiha clan's extermination. But at that time, he only awakened one eye, and he didn't know it yet. It was not until he arrived in the land of waves and fought hard with Haku that both of his eyes awakened into Sharingan. One has 2 Magatama, and the other has 1 Magatama. But now, they have completed the mission in the land of waves smoothly and have not fallen into any hard battles. So currently Sasuke only has 1 Sharingan, and he doesn't know it yet. Does this count as harming Sasuke? Well, it's really hard to say. Boss, I can't understand it. You keep saying that you treat customers equally, but why are you so partial to Sasuke? Hearing Orochimaru say this, Liang thought about it, and it seemed that he really had some intention of protecting Sasuke. Originally, Orochimaru wanted to take over Sasuke's body, which had nothing to do with him, but he jumped out to stop Orochimaru, which really felt a bit biased. Well, since you insist on doing so, I won't stop you. Then thank you, boss. After receiving Liang's reply, Orochimaru's expression immediately became excited. In his opinion, without the protection of the internet cafe owner, it would be easy to capture Uchiha Sasuke. If you are okay, boss, then I will leave first. The matter has been settled, so Orochimaru naturally wants to leave. He still has to go back to continue to perfect the Konoha collapse plan. Wait a minute, I will show you something. Seeing that Orochimaru was about to leave, Liang immediately stopped him and took him to the bedroom, letting him see Danzo, who had become a vegetable. Danzo? The moment he saw the Pot King, Orochimaru's pupils first shrank extremely, and then he felt fortunate. Fortunately, he did not attack Liang, otherwise he would probably become like Danzo, right? How strong must one be to be able to collect Danzo in his bedroom in Konoha? And Sarutobi Hiruzen did not get angry. After being thankful that he did not act rashly, he was puzzled. He was not puzzled about why Danzo was here, but about why there seemed to be another Danzo in the route. This Danzo of mine is a real one. Seeing Orochimaru's puzzled look, Liang directly untied the bandage wrapped around Danzo's right arm. Looking at the arm full of Sharingan, Orochimaru believed that this was the real Danzo. Because these Sharingan were installed by Orochimaru with the help of Danzo, and other people did not know that Danzo had so many Sharingan installed on his right arm. Boss, what do you mean by this? No meaning, I just want you to see it. Haha, I don't believe it. For a person like Orochimaru, no matter what he does, he has his own purpose. If you say that Liang asked him to see this vegetative man without any purpose, then he would definitely not believe it. Don't say it. Liang really has his own purpose, but this purpose is not easy to say. Fortunately, Orochimaru is also a smart man, and he understood it after a little thought. Licking his lips, Orochimaru said, "It seems that you are also dissatisfied with the third Hokage, and want me to kill him." Why would Orochimaru say that? It is obvious that Liang knew that Orochimaru and Danzo were in collusion, and Danzo must have been involved in the attack on Konoha this time. Otherwise, why didn't Danzo show up when Orochimaru attacked Konoha in the original work? Not to mention him, even none of his root ninjas showed up. Obviously, he was planning to make Orochimaru and Sarutobi Hiruzen lose both, and then he would benefit from it. Since Orochimaru and Danzo were in collusion, Orochimaru must have communicated with Danzo during this period. With such a communication, Danzo, played by Sarutobi Hiruzen, would know something he didn't know. Then, will Sarutobi Hiruzen die as in the original work? For Liang, it is not in his interest for Sarutobi Hiruzen to be alive. Didn't you see that those ordinary ninjas don't know the magic of internet cafes? He felt that this situation could only be broken when the 5th Hokage Tsunade came to power. Besides, Tsunade becoming Hokage was much more pleasing to the eye than the old man Sarutobi Hiruzen. I thought I just sent someone to communicate as usual, but he asked to see me. TSK, so he wanted to ask me out, so that he could kill me. Hearing this, Liang frowned and said, "Have you sent someone there?" Orochimaru knew what Liang was worried about, and replied calmly, "Don't worry, the person I sent doesn't know anything at all. He's just a simple liaison." Hearing this, Liang nodded. As long as Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know about the Konoha collapse plan, it would be fine. Chapter 60. Can you become stronger without spending money? That fake Danzo wants to meet you, so are you going? Yes, why not? Licking his lips, Orochimaru showed a wicked smile and said, I would like to know who is pretending to be Danzo. Liang wanted to say it was Sarutobi Hiruzen, but this was just his guess, and there was no substantial evidence. Now it was Orochimaru's turn to confirm it, just to satisfy his curiosity. Having said that, it was time for Orochimaru to leave, but when he walked to the door, he suddenly thought of something, and turned to Liang and asked, Boss, are you interested in opening a branch in my ninja village? A Togaku? I'll consider it. After getting Liang's answer, Orochimaru smiled and left the internet cafe. This time he really left. Boss, are you going to open a branch? Sasuke, who had been paying attention, naturally heard what Orochimaru said at the end. Well, I'm still considering it. Open a branch? Liang also wanted to, but he didn't have the authority now. And even if he wanted to open a branch, a Togaku was not a good place. This village is located in the Land of Fields, which borders the Land of Fire. Because the Sound Village has no reputation in the ninja world, there are very few people who come here to entrust tasks. Therefore, the Sound Village has always relied on the funding from the daimyo of the Land of Fields to survive. However, most of this money was taken by Orochimaru for scientific research, leaving only a small part for the ninjas in the village. Therefore, the ninjas in this village had one thing in common. That is poverty. For such a poor village, Liang would open a branch there, unless he really had no choice. His first choice is naturally the other 4 countries among the 5 major countries. Apart from these 4 countries, the Rain Village and the Grass Village are stronger than the Sound Village. Especially the Rain Village. My sister Nan is the richest woman in the ninja world. 600 billion detonating talismans. Just thinking about it is terrible. It's a pity for Kikuzu. All the money he worked hard to earn was taken by Sister Nan to buy detonating talismans. Alas, it's so pitiful. Sasuke, I'm sorry, I failed to dispel Orochimaru's idea of taking your body. Boss, don't say that. It's none of your business. Sasuke shook his head and didn't complain, but said confidently, since he wants my body, it depends on whether he has the ability to take it. Such a confident Sasuke made Liang admire him very much. Confidence is not arrogance. The character of Sasuke in the original work is too arrogant. There is a saying, the sky is clear, the rain has stopped, and the second pillar thinks he can do it again. This sentence interprets Sasuke's character very well. As long as he gains a little power and strengthens his strength, he will be inflated and can't control himself. Let's talk about a few examples. After awakening the Sharingan in the Land of Waves, Sasuke no longer took the genin of the same period seriously, and then he was beaten by Lee, who was also a genin. After learning Chidori, he felt that he could take revenge, and then he was educated by Itachi with Moonlight Redding. After awakening the Manjiki and joining the Akatsuki organization, he felt that he was capable again, and then he was almost beaten to death by Killer Bee. In general, Sasuke in the original work was either on his way to be beaten or being beaten. The current Sasuke is undoubtedly much better than the one in the original work. At least he is just confident, not arrogant. Out of admiration for Sasuke, Liang still reminded him, after all, Orochimaru was once one of the 3 ninjas. His strength has exceeded the level of ordinary jonin. If you confront him head on, you, Team 7, have no chance of winning. Even with Naruto's burst, you still have no chance of winning. While Liang was talking to Orochimaru, Naruto also explained to Sasuke and Sakura the orange-red chakra that appeared when he beat Gaara. Sasuke was fine, but Sakura seemed very surprised. It was the first time she heard about the Jinchuriki. Naruto's use of the Ninetales chakra is still at a very elementary stage, so unless Naruto's use of the Ninetales chakra reaches the intermediate stage and reveals Four Tails, you will have a little chance of winning against Orochimaru. After getting Liang's answer, Sasuke lowered his head and pondered for a while. He also believed that with Naruto's burst and Sakura's containment, even if they could not repel Orochimaru, they should have no problem protecting themselves. After all, he had practiced with Zabuza these 2 days and found that there was not much difference in strength between him and this Jonin. so he was so confident when facing Orochimaru. Now it seems that Orochimaru is stronger than he thought. Well, thinking back to Zabuza's reaction when facing Orochimaru just now, Sasuke felt that this demon was really a loser. No wonder he was defeated so easily by them in the land of waves. He originally thought that it was because he was careless, but now it seems that it was just a simple lack of strength. If Liang knew that Sasuke thought so, he would definitely speak up for Zabuza. As a small boss in the early stage, Zabuza's strength is naturally not as strong as the characters who appear later, but he is not a fake. When practicing with Sasuke, Zabuza can't use his usual assassination technique. Moreover, ninjutsu such as the Great Waterfall technique cannot be used, otherwise Sasuke's house will be flooded. So when he was practicing with Sasuke, he only used physical skills and occasionally used less powerful ninjutsu, which made Sasuke feel that his strength was not much different from his. If they fought seriously, Sasuke was really no match for Zabuza. Boss, what do you think I should do now? Sasuke did not continue to despise Zabuza in his heart, but asked Liang very sincerely, wanting to get his advice. You are almost done with Chinese Paladin 1, right? Yes, I only need one water bead to complete the 5 spirit beads. Once I have all of them, I can fight the final boss. In other words, you have mastered all the skills in the Shushin secret book of sword control in the game. Yes, I could have used the sword god in the game a long time ago. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and spend money. How can you become stronger without spending money? Spend money? Well, Sasuke didn't understand the word spend money, but it didn't stop Liang from explaining the meaning of spending money. Liang, 1000 words of explanation omitted here. Sasuke, it feels so great. So, it's useless for you to keep so much money. You might as well spend it to strengthen your strength. Originally, Sasuke didn't plan to use a training room, but to practice sword control by himself. This was not to save money, but for the future. He wanted to ensure that when a better skill than sword control appeared in the future, he would still have money to use a training room. Well, he actually wanted to save money. Chapter 61. Practicing sword control. It costs money to use a training room, and it also costs money to buy weapons and equipment. Think about it, when you have learned the heavenly sword, but you can't use it without the intermediate magic sword. If you have learned the sword god, you can only stare blankly without the advanced magic sword. Even if Sasuke still has a lot of inheritance that he has not used, it can't be used carelessly. But now listening to Liang's words, he feels that it still makes sense. Now is different from the past. If he had practiced step by step in the past, it would be nothing, but now he is being targeted by Orochimaru. If he doesn't improve his strength quickly, this body may become big. After calculating how much property he has left, and roughly estimating how much he needs to learn the sword technique to defeat Orochimaru. After thinking for a while, Sasuke made a decision. Boss, wait for me, I'll go back to get the money now. The sooner you go, the sooner you come back. Seeing that Sasuke was about to leave, Naruto and Sakura decided to accompany Sasuke home to get the money for safety reasons. Liang, who was staying in the internet cafe, looked like a profiteer. He was looking forward to how much money Sasuke would bring. He estimated that, in order to defeat Orochimaru, it should be enough to practice the sword control technique to the level of 10,000 swords technique, but in order to kill Orochimaru, it should reach the level of sword controlling demon. Even the heavenly sword probably can't kill Orochimaru. After all, this guy's substitution technique is still very strong. If you can't beat him, he can still run away. And even if you use sword controlling demon, you can't really kill Orochimaru, because this guy can still revive from the curse he planted on others. If you want to really kill Orochimaru, unless you use a spell targeting the soul or the seeking truth jade, he is really difficult to kill. So Sasuke will most likely only practice up to the 10,000 swords technique this time, and as for the magic sword, he will most likely buy an intermediate magic sword. There is no other way. If you use the 10,000 swords technique, you can only use a low level magic sword 3 times, and it will be scrapped after 3 times. In this case, it is better to buy an intermediate magic sword directly, except for the sword god, which can only be used once. The rest of the magic in the sword control technique can be used at will. Of course, this also requires enough chakra. Well, I don't know if using chakra to drive the sword control technique will greatly reduce the power of the spell. For example, the energy source of a car generally comes from gasoline, but if you want to replace gasoline with diesel, it will not run. Although they are both oil, the difference is still quite large. Therefore, if there is no system blessing, using chakra to drive the sword control technique will most likely not work. Even if there is a system conversion blessing, the power of the sword control technique should be discounted. After all, it is not the original version. Why think so much? Anyway, I don't have this kind of trouble. Liang is not from this world, so he has no chakra. When he was practicing the sword control technique, he had already cleared the internal force in his body, so the energy in his body has now been replaced by true energy. It's a pity for the 9 Yang divine art. It has become a thing of the past, before it has even been used. It's really sad and lamentable. Let's mourn for 3 seconds. Okay, collect. Sasuke didn't let Liang wait for long. In less than half an hour, the 3 little strong men came back with a big package. Uncle, give it to you. The package was handed to Liang. After opening it, a burst of light suddenly burst out from the package. Ah, such a dazzling light, I'm going blind. Well, it's not that exaggerated. But Liang was indeed shocked by the gold and silver treasures in this package. From Earth to Naruto, he really had never seen so much gold and silver with his own eyes. Boss, I don't have much paper money at home. Can I pay the bill with gold and silver? Liang did not answer Sasuke's words, but directly picked up a piece of gold and silently read the system in his heart. The system responded very respectfully and clearly marked the value of this piece of gold. Okay. Sasuke was delighted to get Liang's affirmative reply. If he couldn't pay with gold and silver, he would have to exchange them, which would be very troublesome. Now it's good. Just pay with gold and silver. Then boss, please calculate how much money the gold and silver here can be worth. Okay. Nodding, Liang touched each piece of gold and silver and came to a conclusion. These gold and silver are worth 23 million taels in total. Do you want to use them all as network fees? Hearing that it was worth more than 20 million taels, the 3 little strong men were stunned. Sasuke was stunned because he had no idea about the value of gold and silver, so he thought it would be good to be worth more than 10 million taels, but he didn't expect it to be 10 million taels more than expected. As for Sakura and Naruto, they were thinking of the same package, and this guy had 4 packages at home. Naruto, MD, dog rich man. Sakura, Sasuke is so handsome. Hey, come back to your senses. Being interrupted by Liang, the 3 little strong men recovered. Sasuke waved his hand and said generously, boss, let's exchange all these gold and silver for internet fees. Okay. Liang smiled, and he had earned more than 20 million again. He was not far from completing the task. Boss, I'm going to use the training room now. By the way, is there anything I need to pay attention to when practicing in the training room? No, you will understand it after you go in. Okay. After spending 600,000 taels and opening up the training room privileges for himself for 6 hours, Sasuke took a step and prepared to enter the room to practice. Looking at Sasuke's back, Naruto and Sakura both showed envy. Fortunately, Sasuke did not forget his 2 friends. When he opened the door and was about to go in, he turned to Liang and said, boss, let's arrange 6 hours for Naruto and Sakura as well. After saying that, before waiting for Liang's reply, Sasuke entered the training room. Naruto, from now on, Sasuke, you are my half-brother. Sakura, Sasuke, I want to give birth to your baby. Sasuke was quite curious about the space in the training room. Although this room is not very big, since it is called a training room, it must be extraordinary. The training room is empty, except for a futon in the middle. There is nothing else. This made Sasuke, who was full of curiosity, feel a little disappointed. Fortunately, this emotion only appeared for a moment, but he knew that he came in to practice sword control. Seeing a futon in the room, he didn't think much and sat down directly. After sitting down, Sasuke suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. There were several large options on the light curtain, and some small options appeared under the large options. These options are naturally the spells, skills, that Sasuke wants to choose to practice. Seeing so many options, Sasuke did not choose immediately, but closed his eyes. In the dark, Sasuke found that he could still clearly see these options. It can be seen that this light curtain did not appear in front of his eyes, but appeared in his mind. After learning about this situation, Sasuke simply did not open his eyes and chose the major item of sword control with his eyes closed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. Is this possible? The practice of sword control needs to be carried out in order. Sword control technique, sword flying technique, 10,000 sword technique, heavenly sword, sword controlling demon, sword god. He has barely learned the sword control technique in reality, so he will start practicing from sword flying. After he made his choice, Sasuke suddenly found himself in a fairy mountain with misty clouds. On the edge of the mountain, there was a simple but sharp fairy sword floating. Below the mountain, there was a sea of clouds and fog, showing its beauty in the misty forest, as well as rocks of various shapes, and the rushing river and horses eating grass. Such a poetic scene made Sasuke couldn't help but compose a poem. Fairy mountain, you are so high. Bamboo forest, you are so beautiful. River, why do you have so much water? The horse has 4 legs under it. What a good poem. What a good poem. After making this poem, Sasuke couldn't help but nod and praised his literary talent. After expressing his poetic thoughts, Sasuke understood that he would practice flying with a sword here. As for whether this was a real environment or a false illusion, who knew? Anyway, it made no difference to him. He was just here to practice the art of flying with a sword. When he came to the edge of the mountain, Sasuke jumped on the sword of the fairy sword. Standing on the fairy sword and facing the wind, even Liang couldn't help but say, "What a handsome young man." Unfortunately, the good times didn't last long. Just when Sasuke was about to use the sword art and wanted to experience flying with a sword, the fairy sword suddenly tilted down. Sasuke, help. Sasuke died miserably, without a complete corpse. Fortunately, this is a training room, not a real environment. After a while, Sasuke appeared on the mountain again. Looking at the floating fairy sword, Sasuke was horrified. The feeling of death is not very good. Look, Sasuke also awakened the Sharingan on the way down. Moreover, it is not the kind of Sharingan with 2 Magatama in one eye and 1 Magatama in the original work, but the Sharingan with 2 Magatama in both eyes. It can be imagined how terrifying it is to be able to directly scare Sasuke's Sharingan awakening. But no matter how terrifying it is, I spend my own money, I have to practice it even if I cry. In this way, after being thrown to death countless times, Sasuke was finally able to barely control the fairy sword. Although it was still shaky and unstable when flying, it didn't matter, as long as he learned it. Now the only thing left was proficiency. Now he can practice the 10,000 swords due, but he was not in a hurry. After getting familiar with it again, he changed the training project to the next stage of the 10,000 swords due. With the change of the training project, the scene suddenly changed, from the fairy mountain with misty clouds to a sword tomb full of various broken swords. This scene is no longer Sasuke alone. At the edge of the sword tomb, there is a guy with a black body, barely recognizable as a human figure. Before Sasuke could even think about whether to say hello, the shadowy figure used the sword control technique to move a sword towards Sasuke. Facing the attack of the flying sword, Sasuke wanted to hide, but who knew that the flying sword would change from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and 4 to 8 while flying in the air. Soon, the sky was densely packed with flying swords. Facing the attack of so many flying swords, Sasuke could only curse inwardly, and then he was stabbed to death by these swords. That's right, Sasuke died again, and died miserably as usual, almost being stabbed into a pulp by the flying swords. Fuck, I finally understand what this training room is all about. If you don't want to be killed, you can only squeeze yourself and succeed in your training as soon as possible. What kind of training room is this? It's more like a self-torture room. However, despite his complaints, Sasuke still used the sword control technique very seriously and began to practice the 10,000 swords technique. 6 hours was neither long nor short. When it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, when Liang was thinking about what to eat for dinner, the three little strong men finished their training and reappeared in the internet cafe. Among the three, Sasuke and Sakura looked pale and looked not in good condition. Naruto, on the other hand, looked ruddy and excited. Seeing the three little strong men walking out of the training room, Liang hurriedly stepped forward to ask, "How do you feel?" Sasuke and Sakura looked at each other, then shook their heads, indicating that they didn't want to talk. Only Naruto said excitedly, "Uncle, this training room is really fun. I feel it is more interesting than playing games." Sasuke and Sakura heard this, and their minds were full of question marks. "Naruto, can you tell me how you practice in there, Uncle?" Hearing Liang's question, Naruto naturally told about his practice. The first scene is practicing flying with a sword. Most people, when they see a flying sword, they will definitely want to step on it. Sasuke and Sakura are like this. Naruto is different. He didn't do it on his real body, but on his shadow clone. That's right, Naruto is using his shadow clones to practice. Because his main body was fine, he could use his shadow clones all the time, and there was no gap in his practice progress. When one shadow clone fell, he would immediately replace it with another one. If he was tired, he would just jump off the cliff, revive on the spot, and then continue to clone his shadows. The second scene is practicing the 10,000 swords technique. This time Naruto was even more amazing. He used his shadow clones as a meat shield and ran in front of the black shadow. Then he dodged, and the black shadow was stabbed to death by the flying sword that was following Naruto. "Black shadow, I stabbed myself. Is that okay?" What's more, after stabbing the black shadow to death, Naruto actually learned the 10,000 swords technique. The third scene is practicing the heavenly sword. This scene is the same as the second scene, with a sword and a black shadow. But this time, the black shadow changed the way of attack from the 10,000 swords technique to the heavenly sword with a length of 40 meters. "Black shadow, wahahaha, I told you to kill me, and now I will chop you to death with this big sword." Facing this huge sword, Naruto had no ability to resist. When his training time was over, and he was driven out of the training room, he was still being chased by the black shadow. But not to mention the training in advance, he had a lot of fun anyway. After hearing about Naruto's training process, Sasuke and Sakura directly doubted their lives. Is this possible? Who the hell would have thought of using a shadow clone to step on a flying sword? Who the hell would have thought that killing the other person would lead to direct training success? Sasuke, Sakura, we are classmates who graduated from the same ninja school. Why are you so outstanding, Naruto? Sasuke and Sakura's mentality exploded. Equals. Flip the table, set it up. Deg point deg, flip it again. Chapter 63, Buying Weapons and Practicing. After listening to Naruto's training process, Sasuke and Sakura were both shocked to a certain extent. Fortunately, they were not jealous of the virtuous. After beating Naruto, they were not depressed, but felt very comfortable. "Naruto, by the way, why did you hit me?" Sasuke, Sakura, Ignoring Naruto, who was full of questions, Sasuke looked at Sakura and signaled that it was her turn to report her results. Looking at Sasuke's eyes, Sakura said a little embarrassedly, "Actually, I didn't practice sword control, but chose to practice Zeolinga's 5-element magic. Zeolinga's 5-element magic is also a kind of existence that is not inferior to sword control. When practiced to a deep level, it can summon the projection of gods such as Thunder God and Fire God, which is a magic of the same level as the Sword God. In addition to superb offensive capabilities, the 5-element magic also has a strong auxiliary ability. Just like Sakura's position in the team is auxiliary, she doesn't need a strong offensive strength, she just needs to quietly follow behind her two teammates and provide them with sufficient logistical support. So, in this way, the 5-element spell that can heal, output, and assist is her first choice. In addition to these, the 5-element spell has a very bug skill. That is the resurrection spell. The effect of the resurrection spell in the game is to revive the companions who died in the battle, and can also restore 10% of the blood volume. This skill can revive others in the game, and there is no reason why it can't be in reality. Although there will definitely be strong restrictions on using it in reality, this is a real resurrection spell. Wouldn't it be too disadvantageous if you don't learn it? Unfortunately, the resurrection spell can be learned in the early stage of the game, but in reality, such a bug ability will definitely not be learned so easily. The learning of the 5-element spell is similar to the sword control technique, both of which are learned from scratch. It's just that the sword control technique has no branches and you just need to practice it all the way. For the 5-element spell, Sakura needs to choose one of the 5 spells of wind, thunder, water, fire, and earth to start practicing. After learning the initial skills of the 5-element magic, Sakura can choose to practice auxiliary and recovery magic. Sakura's purpose is very clear, that is, to be a support in the team, so she directly chose to practice the most basic spells in the 5-element magic in the training room. Fortunately, she is a ninja. Although ninjutsu is not a spell, it is still a little bit related. Therefore, for the most basic 5-element magic, it only took her about 5 hours to learn it. In the remaining hour, she chose to practice the Guanine mantra. In the game, the Guanine mantra is a single blood adding skill. In reality, the Guanine mantra can not only heal internal and external injuries, but more importantly, it can also restore the user's chakra to a certain extent. It's like giving Sakura's chakra to the user, and it can also restore a certain amount of injuries. If Sakura has a lot of chakra, this skill is simply a magical skill. Unfortunately, Sakura is not Naruto. She estimated that she would use it at most 5 times before her chakra would be exhausted. As for the healing ability, because no one was injured, she didn't know how effective it would be. Sakura did not choose the sword controlling technique, but chose the 5-element magic. This choice is undoubtedly very beneficial to the team. Sasuke did not blame Sakura, but just gave her a little advice, asking her to learn the resurrection spell as soon as possible. He wanted to try whether this skill could revive his parents. Of course, he also knew that such a powerful skill must have some limitations. If he could not revive in the end, he would not blame Sakura. Okay, everyone has learned the skills they want to learn, so now let's choose your weapons and equipment. The 3 little strong men ended the conversation, and this was a good time for Liang to interrupt. Boss, give me an intermediate magic sword, give Naruto a primary magic sword, and give Sakura a primary magic staff. The intermediate magic sword costs 10 million taels. 2 primary weapons cost 2 million taels, plus the cost of the 3 people using the training room is 1.8 million taels. In other words, the consumption this time is 13.8 million taels. As expected of a dog-rich man, this consumption is generous. Here you go. Liang exchanged 3 weapons from the store and handed them to them directly. Compared to the ordinary weapons of Naruto and Sakura, the intermediate magic sword on Sasuke's hand is much more advanced than the other 2 weapons, just by looking at its appearance. Compared with the primary magic sword, the hilt has more carvings, and the blade looks brighter and sharper than the primary magic sword. Among them, the carvings are not only to make the appearance look better, but also to enhance the conversion of chakra and reduce the consumption of spells used by the sword holder. For example, Sakura wants to use the 5-element spell, such as the most basic wind spell of the wind system. She will consume 100 points of chakra. With the primary magic staff, her consumption of chakra will be reduced to 90 points, which means a 10% reduction in consumption. The primary weapon is 10%, while Sasuke's intermediate weapon is 30%. It saves 20% more than the primary one. In addition to saving chakra, there is another reason why the intermediate weapon is better than the primary one. That is, the intermediate weapon will increase the power of the spell by 10%. So, there is a reason why high-level equipment is expensive. Boss, it's getting late. We'll leave first. Liang looked at the time. It was past 5 in the afternoon. It was not early anymore. Were they rushing home for dinner? Okay, welcome back next time. Liang wanted to treat them to dinner. After all, Sasuke had spent so much, so it was normal for him to treat them to a meal. But seeing that the 3 were leaving, he did not stop them. The reason why the 3 of Team 7 were leaving now was not to rush home for dinner, but because they wanted to find a remote place to try out the magic they had just learned. Konoha village was so big and there were many forests around it. It was relatively easy to find a secluded place with no one around. Come on, Naruto, let's try the sword control technique first. Okay, Sasuke. After that, the two of them controlled the magic swords and made the two swords dance in the air. In terms of grade, Sasuke's magic sword was naturally one level higher than Naruto's. If they really fought hard, Naruto's magic sword would be scarred in a short time. Fortunately, they were just testing the various parameters of the sword control technique this time, so neither of them fought hard. After playing with the flying sword for a while, Sasuke stopped first. Seeing Sasuke stopped, Naruto naturally stopped as well. Based on my current chakra, I can probably use the sword control technique for about an hour. The consumption is less than expected. Naruto, what about your calculation? Just pretend I didn't ask. When the word came to Sasuke's lips, he remembered that this guy was not a normal person. Other people's chakra really had to be calculated in grams, but this guy's chakra could be said to be chakins, and with the 9 tails, it could evolve into chaktons. Naruto, don't try the 10,000 sword technique. You should practice flying with the sword more. Okay, Sasuke. Chapter 64. The Chunin exam is finally here. While Sasuke and Naruto were testing sword control, Sakura was also testing the 5 element spells. Wind Curse, Thunder Curse, Ice Curse, Flame Curse, Earth Curse. The 5 basic 5 element spells were tried one by one. In terms of consumption, based on Sakura's chakra, she could probably use this most basic spell about 20 times. In terms of power, it is more destructive than C level ninjutsu, but it seems not as good as B level ninjutsu. But for Sakura who lacks offensive means, this is already very good. As for the Guanyin curse, Sakura pulled Naruto over, punched him hard a few times, and then used the Guanyin curse, which felt very effective. With the existence of the staff, the consumption of chakra was reduced, and she could use the Guanyin curse about 6 times. The 3 of them tested the spells for more than 2 hours, and when it was getting dark, they returned home. The next day, the Chunin exam finally began. After passing yesterday's test, the trio carried their weapons and walked into the ninja school in high spirits. As in the original plot, they saw Rock Lee lying on the ground in the corridor leading to the examination room. Of course, the 3 of them didn't know the people from Team 3 at this time, so they didn't pay much attention to Rock Lee lying on the ground. They pushed the crowd and wanted to go inside. At this time, the 2 guys who beat people said to everyone very arrogantly, "Anyway, you can't pass inside, so just stay here and don't go in." The candidates around clenched their fists and looked at the arrogant 2 people, but did not make a move. Obviously, before Team 7 arrived, many people had been dealt with like Rock Lee. "I say you are almost there. Get out of the way quickly. We are going to room 301. A good dog doesn't block the way, you two." Naruto felt that the 2 were a bit too arrogant, so he didn't speak so politely. "HMPH, you just graduated from the ninja school, and you dare to be so arrogant? Today, as a senior, I will teach you a lesson and let you know that you should be obedient if you just graduated." Hearing Naruto call them dogs, the 2 men got angry. One of them rushed up quickly. The originally short distance almost rushed to the front of the 3 people of Team 7 in the blink of an eye. That speed was obviously not something that an ordinary genin could have. It seems that, if he can block so many candidates with his own ability, his strength will not be so ordinary. Seeing the ninja rushing over, Naruto did not panic at all. He just calmly threw a punch. When the man saw Naruto throwing a punch, he simply threw a punch as well, wanting to bump fists. Just when the fists of both sides were about to collide, a figure suddenly appeared between the 2. Judging from the posture, he should be trying to stop the fight between the 2. Naruto's fist is not easy to receive. Sasuke on the side saw clearly that the person who appeared between Naruto and the ninja was Rock Lee. Seeing Rock Lee trying to catch Naruto's fist beyond his ability, Sasuke couldn't help but mutter with a smile. Bang! The fact was just as Sasuke expected. When he saw someone come out to stop him, Naruto actually wanted to retract his strength to avoid accidentally hurting others. Unfortunately, Rock Lee was too close to Naruto's fist, and Naruto only had time to retract a small part of his strength, and most of the rest of the strength still hit Rock Lee's hand. Just at the moment of contact, Rock Lee was knocked away by Naruto and stuck to the wall. Rock Lee, Tenten, who was still taking care of Rock Lee just now, saw his companion being knocked away and hurriedly ran to the wall and pulled Rock Lee down with force. At this time, the ninja who had just wanted to fight Naruto looked at Rock Lee's miserable appearance and cold sweat broke out. He pulled his companion without saying a word and ran away without a trace. Sakura, go treat that thick-browed man. No one blocked the door, so Sasuke naturally wanted to leave. However, the thick-browed man who was bleeding from his nose was not very strong, but he had good intentions. In addition, he was injured by Naruto, so Sasuke felt that it was necessary to let Sakura treat him. Okay. After hearing Sasuke's words, Sakura nodded and cast the Guanine mantra directly at Zayoli. Speaking of which, using the 5-element spell does not require hand seals. As long as the flow of chakra in the body is fast enough, it can be cast instantly in theory. Sakura has not reached that level yet. Now it takes about 0.7 seconds for him to use a spell. However, this speed is still much faster than using ninjutsu. After the Guanine mantra was cast, Zayoli, who had been bleeding from his nose just now, stopped bleeding immediately, and some bruises on his body were also disappearing quickly. Okay, let's go. Wait. Just as the three were about to leave, someone called them. What's up? The three turned around and saw a beautiful boy with white pupils and long brown hair walking over. Sasuke frowned when he saw this man. He didn't know this man, but he saw a pair of white eyes in this man. As everyone knows, there are two major Aijutsu families in Konoha. One is the Uchiha clan where Sasuke belongs. The other is the Hyuga clan where the boy in front of him belongs. Although they are both Aijutsu families, the relationship between the two is not very good. Now that Sasuke saw this man, he thought he was here to cause trouble. You injured my teammates, and you want to leave so easily? After hearing what this man said, Sasuke denied his previous guess, pointed at Zayoli who had stood up, and said lightly, do you think he looks injured? The man turned his head and found that Zayoli had no injuries on his body, except that his clothes were a little dirty. Lee, what's going on? Ninji is here. This is what happened. It turned out that Ninji was far away just now. He only saw Lee being knocked out and did not see Sakura using the Guanine mantra to heal, so he called the trio to stop him and wanted to seek justice for Lee. Now after hearing what Lee said, Ninji realized that it was all Lee's fault. Why did he get involved in a fight between two people? Now, he is not only pretending to be cool, but also a fool. I'm sorry to have misunderstood you. My name is Hyuga Niji, and you are the top graduate of this year, Uchiha Sasuke, right? Yes, it's me. Haha, I look forward to fighting with you. After Ninji and Sasuke got to know each other, he took Lee and Tenten away. Seeing this, Sasuke also called Sakura and Naruto to follow Ninji and left here. In the original work, Lee would challenge Uchiha Sasuke on the way to the examination room, but now Lee has no such idea. Are you kidding? He can't even beat Naruto, who is the last one, let alone this year's top graduate Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto, hey, I feel offended. Zayoli. Chapter 65 Written exam begins. Moving forward, Class 3 and Class 7 successfully arrived at the written examination room, which was a large classroom. After entering the classroom, Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura and the other little strong men said hello and sat in their seats. The shouting and yelling in the original book did not happen. After all, Naruto is no longer that hot-blooded idiot. If the scene in the classroom continues like this, it is estimated that Kabuto Yakushi will hardly have a chance to appear. He can't just run to Sasuke with a flattering face and force an awkward conversation. Fortunately, he is not alone. He still has a god teammate. Are you Uchiha Sasuke? Hearing someone calling him next to him, Sasuke turned around and saw a guy wearing shit yellow clothes with 3 death characters written on the clothes, looking at him arrogantly. Who are you? Remember, I'm Saku from the Sound Village. Seeing Sasuke looking at him, Saku didn't feel the slightest bit of panic, but continued to provoke. You're nothing special. I don't understand why that adult would like you. Hearing Saku's words, Sasuke suddenly remembered the pervert who wanted to take over his body. Then what? What do you want? What do I want? Saku smiled sinisterly, opened his left hand to Sasuke, and said arrogantly, I want to kill you. Saku was very sinister. He wanted to take advantage of Sasuke's misunderstanding of him and trick him. Unfortunately, when Saku opened his palm, especially when he saw a tube inserted in the center of his palm, Sasuke immediately became alert to him. Now he heard that Saku wanted to kill him. Then he just had to strike first. Cut the air. Xiu Sasuke's mind moved, and before Saku could perform the air cutting wave, he had already used the sword control technique. With just one encounter, Saku's left arm was directly cut off by Sasuke. Our 10 fingers are connected to the heart. Even if only one finger is cut off, it is very painful, not to mention that Sasuke directly cut off his left arm. Sak must be in so much pain that he couldn't help but scream out the strongest high pitch of human beings. Sak's scream attracted all the candidates in the classroom. When they turned their heads to look at the source of the sound, Sasuke had already controlled the magic sword back to the scabbard. Arsehole. Sak's broken arm was bleeding all over the floor, and he looked at Sasuke with hatred and fear. Sakura understood. Sasuke didn't want to kill anyone in public again, so he called Sakura. Sakura understood what Sasuke meant and used the one finger yang on Sak. Biu after using several fingers in a row, Sak's broken arm had completely stopped bleeding. This scene surprised all the candidates. I have never heard that medical ninjutsu can be used like this. Thank you for your treatment, but we won't let the matter of Zack go. Toss, the strongest of the 3 sound ninjas, picked up Zack's arm, thanked Sakura, and looked at Sasuke to show his attitude. It's okay, no matter what you want to do, we will take it. Toss came out to show his attitude, and Naruto, as Sasuke's teammate, naturally did not want to be outdone. Wish you good luck. After saying that, Toss helped Zack back to his seat, and then waited quietly for the exam to begin, as if nothing had happened. Among the many candidates, Kabuto Yakushi, who had been silently paying attention all the way, cursed inwardly waste, and continued to lurk. The examination room, which was quiet for a while, would resume its noisy sounds every once in a while. These people were not surprised by Zack being cut, but the look in their eyes when they looked at Sasuke showed a solemn look without exception. Especially Kankuro. He didn't forget the conflict yesterday. If Sasuke had carried a sword on his back yesterday and hit him like that, would he be able to dodge it smoothly? Kankuro felt it was a bit difficult. It was fine if the distance was far enough. If the distance was not far enough, he would probably end up like Zack. Thinking about it, he looked at Naruto again. This guy also had a sword on his back today. Considering Naruto's strength in beating Gaara yesterday, it was clear that he was another monster. As for Sakura, the Biu just now also showed her extraordinariness. Thinking about the 3 people in Team 7, Kankuro could only sigh. These 3 people are very tricky. You bastards, shut up. Time passed, and it was time for the exam. Ibiki, the chief examiner of this exam, came late. The first words he said when he arrived were sweet and eloquent. Of course, it didn't mean that he was of low quality. He did this just to intimidate this group of genin. Who can tell me what happened here? Before he had time to tell this group of people the rules of the exam room, he smelled a bloody smell. Following the smell, he saw a large pool of blood in the corridor. Nothing. Someone provoked me. I just taught him a lesson. Ibiki glanced at Sasuke, who looked calm and didn't say anything, but ordered his men to deal with the blood. The men worked very quickly, and after a short while, there was no trace of blood except for a slight smell of blood. Okay, let's start the test now. After the blood was dealt with, Ibiki began to announce the rules of the test. To put it bluntly, it was just writing on the test paper and answering questions. The rules for answering questions were also very simple. The questions were 10 questions with a deduction system. If you answered a question wrong, you would lose 1 point. If one of the 3 team members got 0 points, they would be considered failed. As for the 10th question, it was not on the test paper, and Ibiki would announce the last question later. This question. Are you sure you are not kidding us? It's too difficult. Fortunately, I know all of them. Looking at the questions on the test paper, some people were happy and some were worried. because the requirement of the first round of assessment was to calculate the total score of the 3 people in the team. This made Sakura and Sasuke feel very bad. What is the level of Naruto's theoretical knowledge? Not to mention Sakura and Sasuke, all students in the same class as Naruto basically know it. Therefore, after seeing the test questions, Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, Aburame Shino and other friends looked at Team 7 with a hint of sympathy. Among them, the always carefree Inosuke Kiba almost laughed out loud. Looking at the contents on the paper, Naruto really wanted to cry, but had no tears. This was really incomprehensible. Naruto wailed in his heart. After a while, Hyuga Hinata, who was sitting next to Naruto, saw that Naruto had not started writing, and a look of hesitation appeared on his face, which was soon replaced by a firm look. Hinata gently touched Naruto's right arm. Naruto, who was very distressed, suddenly felt the abnormality of his right arm, and turned his head away in confusion. Suddenly, a test paper appeared in Naruto's eyes, and the distance was very close, so close that Naruto could easily see the contents on the test paper. Naruto's heart skipped a beat, and he immediately shifted his gaze to Hinata. Chapter 66 Question 10. Hinata used her eyes to signal Naruto, and her mouth opened and closed gently, but no sound came out. However, Naruto immediately understood what Hinata meant, which was obviously Naruto. Copy quickly. At that moment, Naruto felt like he had been reborn from the ashes. In Naruto's eyes, Hinata was simply the incarnation of an angel. Just as Naruto picked up the pen and was about to copy, the moment the tip of the pen just touched the test paper, Naruto suddenly froze. This exam. Everything is under the supervision of the examiner. You'd better not use clumsy cheating methods. Once discovered, all team members will be disqualified from the exam. Marino Ibaka's words immediately echoed in Naruto's mind. Naruto swallowed his saliva and fell into a struggle. On the one hand, he had a 0 score, which might affect the results of Sakura and Sasuke's exams. On the other hand, once cheating was discovered, all 3 members of the team would inevitably fail. Naruto was immediately overwhelmed, and cold sweat flowed down uncontrollably. Hoichiyu and his team members, all 0 points, disqualified for the assessment. While Naruto was still struggling, a ruthless cold snort sounded, which immediately awakened Naruto, who was still hesitating. Along with this shout, 3 or 4 groups of ninjas were found to have cheated, and were disqualified for the assessment. Looking at the ninjas who left dejectedly, Naruto took a breath of cold air. Then he looked at the blank test paper on the table again, and Naruto immediately fell into despair. Hinata, who was standing by, saw that Naruto actually stopped writing, and she became anxious. In panic, Hinata pulled Naruto's arm again. Naruto immediately came back to his senses, looked at the blank test paper, and thought about Marino Ibaka's trembling sneer. Naruto took a deep breath, turned slightly to Hinata, and showed a firm look. After opening and closing his mouth, he turned back, and closed his eyes. No need, Hinata, I'll do it myself. When Hinata learned Naruto's decision from Naruto's mouth shape, her mouth almost opened into an O shape. Although she was still very worried about Naruto, since Naruto had already refused, Hinata could not insist. Besides, they were still under the surveillance of many examiners, so Hinata did not dare to do too much. At this time, Naruto forced himself to calm down. He always felt that there was something wrong with this exam. Think about it, most of the examinees around him showed the same expression as him when they were holding the test papers. This shows that the difficulty of the test questions has exceeded the level of genin, so most of the candidates here can't answer them. After reaching this conclusion, Naruto thought further and thought of what Ibaki said just now. This exam. Everything is under the surveillance of the examiners. You'd better save your clumsy cheating methods. Once discovered, all team members will be disqualified from the exam. Clumsy cheating methods? Discovered? Disqualified from the exam. Thinking of this, Naruto's eyes lit up. Since you will be disqualified, if you are discovered, then why not just not be discovered? Combining the difficulty of the test questions, Naruto has already guessed the purpose of this exam. In order to confirm this guess, Naruto looked around secretly and found that Sasuke had opened his Sharingan and was imitating the writing trajectory of the candidate in front of him. Ino lay weakly on the table, obviously using the mind-changing technique. The veins around the eyes of Hyuga, who had just met him not long ago, bulged. It was obvious that he was using his Byakugan to see through and peek at other people's answers. Seeing the actions of these candidates, Naruto has confirmed his guess. That is, the purpose of this exam is not to see how rich the theoretical knowledge of the candidates is, but to test the intelligence gathering ability of these candidates. The first 9 questions are to test the intelligence gathering ability of the candidates. So what about the 10th question? Naruto felt that the 10th question should be the key to whether he could pass this written test, and he put all his hopes on the 10th question. After making a decision, Naruto relaxed and waited quietly for the examiner to announce the 10th question. But he was idle anyway, and Naruto, who was bored, started to mess around on the test paper. For example, the first question. Question: what was the earliest communication method of ninjas? This question is actually very simple, basically a 3-point question. As long as you have a little knowledge of ninja history, you can know the answer. However, as a poor student, Naruto either sleeps in class or skips class directly. How could he know this communication method? So he just wrote the 2 words dream. The second question. Question: there is a river now, and there are 8 people who want to cross the river, namely, father, mother, 2 sons, 2 daughters, a ninja and a prisoner. There is a boat that can carry at most 2 people at a time. Among these 8 people, there must be one of the 3 people on the boat before the boat can start. The boat cannot automatically come back after it passes, and the following 3 things must be avoided. 1. If the ninja is not there, the prisoner will hurt the family of 6. If the father is not there, the mother will hurt the son. If the mother is not there, the father will hurt the daughter. So how to cross the river? Question mark? From the second question, the difficulty of the test question suddenly increased. Faced with such a complicated question, even Sakura, a top student, calculated for a long time before getting the correct answer. But at this time, Naruto smiled slightly and wrote, why not take a detour? Question 3. Question 9. Time slipped away bit by bit as Naruto answered the questions randomly. Looking at the answers to the 9 questions he had written, Naruto smiled silently. These answers to the test questions can be regarded as a small prank of his. Speaking of pranks, Naruto just remembered that he had not done this for a long time, and for a moment he missed the days of pranks. Just as Naruto was reminiscing about the pranks he had done in the past, Ibiki on the podium smiled coldly and finally announced the 10th question of this exam. First of all, you have to choose whether to accept the assessment of this 10th question. If you choose not to accept it, then the candidate will immediately get 0 points, which means he will fail, and the 2 people in the same group will also be treated as unqualified. As soon as these words came out, almost everyone was dissatisfied. Ibiki ignored the dissatisfaction of the candidates and continued, if the candidates accept this question, those who do not answer correctly will be disqualified from participating in the Chunin exam forever. As soon as he finished speaking, the whole audience suddenly became noisy. Shut up and stop whispering, otherwise you will be treated as 0. Kamijo Tama, you, 0. Ito Makoto, you also get 0. Shibatatsuya. Sakura Tamuki. After Ibiki made several students receive the box lunch, the candidates finally stopped making noise and began to consider whether to accept the 10th question. No, I can't accept the consequence of not being able to participate in the Chunin exam in the future. I choose to withdraw. I'm withdrawing too. Me too. Me too. Chapter 67 The second exam. The quiet thinking environment did not calm the candidates down, but made them more anxious. After a while, some candidates began to give up the 10th question and walked out of the examination room. Naruto, who was sitting in his seat, raised his eyebrows. He was both happy and disappointed about the 10th question. He was happy that he had a safe pass in this exam. He was disappointed that Ibika's words were a bit low level. In Naruto's opinion, Ibika's previous words were not bad, but his mistake was that the punishment was too severe. Just kidding. The Chunin exam is not only held by Konoha, but other ninja villages can also hold it. If the person who said this was the third Hokage, perhaps Naruto would try to believe it. After all, who knows if other villages will give face to the third Hokage. But Ibiki was only the examiner of this exam. What right did he have to make such a decision? Even if he could make such a decision, would other villagers give him face? He didn't have that much face. Therefore, Naruto was very sure that the 10th question was just a cover, and Ibaka's main purpose was to know the number of candidates. Just look at the examination room now, and you will know that the number of people has been reduced a lot. Most of these people were not caught cheating, but were frightened by the choice of the 10th question, and gave up the exam. After knowing Ibaka's purpose, Naruto naturally sat on the fishing platform, not panicking at all. About 7 or 8 minutes passed, and at this time, there were only less than 3/5 of the people in the huge examination room. Seeing that no one wanted to leave on their own initiative, Ibaka announced loudly, "Congratulations, you all passed." The candidates who had made up their minds and prepared to fight to the death for the 10th question were confused at first, and then ecstatic after hearing Ibaka's announcement. It's like the organization arranges you to carry out a life or death mission. Just when you are ready to accept the mission, the organization says, "It's teasing you." Are you happy or surprised? Catcher. Just when the candidates were relaxing and reveling, the glass window on the left side of the examination room suddenly exploded. Ibaka's brows jumped slightly, and he sighed slightly. With the sound of broken glass, a huge banner opened up instantly, and a figure appeared in front of the banner. "Haha, you bastards, don't think you can relax after passing the first test? The next is the second round of tests. I'm the examiner of the second round, Mitarashi Anko." This extremely arrogant attitude made these noisy and happy genin fall into collective petrification. The entire examination room suddenly fell into a strange silence. Anko thought that her appearance would be cheered by the candidates, but what happened? Looking at this group of candidates who were as quiet as petrified, Anko said that she was very angry. At this time, Ibaki came to finish the knife. "Hey, no one cares about you." Marino Ibaki's tone was very calm, but why did Anko feel that Ibaki was completely mocking her? That expression, that slightly raised corner of his mouth, that hateful smile. After Anko yelled in her heart, she sighed and forced herself to calm down. "HMPH. You're not the one who's meddling in other people's business." Although Hangdao wanted to pretend that nothing had happened, her tone, her expression, and her gnashing teeth simply showed how dissatisfied and angry Hangdao was. Marino Ibaki shrugged, indicating that she had no other intentions. Immediately, she stepped back a few steps. Marino Ibaki knew the temper of the female jonin in front of her. This was an important occasion, so it might be okay for her to occasionally provoke her. If she said a few more words, she couldn't guarantee what this crazy woman would do. After all, she would usually fight over a disagreement and tease other people's personalities. Marino Ibaki didn't want to be punished, so for Hangdao's words, Marino Ibaki said that she would not participate. Looking at Marino Ibaka's actions, Hangdao snorted and didn't care. After all, there were so many candidates on the scene, and it was really difficult for her to do anything. But if this kid dared to say one more word, humph, Hangdao said that she would definitely make Marino Ibaki regret it. Immediately, Hangdao coughed lightly, glanced at the number of people on the scene, and frowned slightly. Dissatisfied, she said, "Ibaki, how come the first round of exams are so simple now, and there are still so many people left? Too many? Are you kidding?" Before Marino Ibaki said anything, the candidates on the scene had already widened their eyes. Although they didn't dare to say anything on the surface, they had already complained in their hearts. The full exam room, only less than 3/5 of the people were left, and they still thought it was too much. The candidates present looked at Hangdao with indignant expressions, but considering Hangdao's identity as an examiner, they didn't dare to say anything. This year's students are more excellent, so more people are left," Marino Ibaki said with a smile. "Haha." Mitarashi Hangdao hummed a few times in disapproval. Immediately, she laughed sinisterly a few times and sneered. "Anyway, in the second round of exams, I will reduce your number to less than half." Hangdao's voice was no longer as cheerful as at the beginning, but a gloomy smile, which made people look scary. "What? Less than half? There is not much difference between 1/2 and 3/5, but they have just gone through a brutal written test, and they are already exhausted both physically and mentally. Now more than half of the people will be eliminated in the second round. Is this still possible?" Okay, you don't have much time to rest. Now please move with me to the venue of the second round of examinations. Han Dao didn't care about the performance of the people present at all, but slightly curled the corners of her mouth and talked to herself. Immediately, her figure flashed, and she left the examination room through the broken window before. After leaving, she showed a wicked smile at the corners of her mouth and said, "Those who can't keep up with me will lose the qualification of the entire group, haha." After Han Dao left, everyone reacted and was shocked. Immediately, they rushed to follow Han Dao's steps and rushed to the Death Forest, one of the forbidden places in Konoha village. After the candidates left, Ibiki began to collect the test papers. Other people's test papers were fine. Even if they made mistakes, they still answered the questions seriously after looking at the answers. But when Ibiki saw Naruto's test paper, he froze. Dream? Go around it? About this size? How do you know? What the hell is this? Ibiki was a veteran. What kind of scene had he not seen? However, he had never seen such a ridiculous test paper. Haha, Uzumaki Naruto? What an interesting kid. Chapter 68. Liang finally went out. The place for the second exam is called the Death Forest. This is one of the special venues of Konoha village, and it can also be said to be one of the forbidden areas of Konoha. Of course, the so-called forbidden area is relative to the ordinary residents of Konoha. For the ninjas of Konoha, the Death Forest is just a good training ground. Or it is just a place for some kind of simulated assessment and actual combat training. There is no so-called danger. After all, the most dangerous thing in it is those large wild animals. But those creatures are not threatening to ninjas at all. Standing outside the Death Forest, Han Dao announced the rules of this exam. The rules are very simple. In fact, it is a battle for scrolls. Before entering the Death Forest, each team will get a scroll that may be heaven or earth. Only the team that collects the scrolls of heaven and earth can successfully enter the next round of exams. It's finally the turn to use strength to speak for the exam. For such a rule, not only Naruto is very excited, but also the other candidates. There is no way. It's really hard for them in the first written test. Now they just want to have a good fight and vent their dissatisfaction. Look, the rules of the second round allow them to fight openly, which is simply too good. Half an hour later, after all the teams signed the life and death agreement and entered the Death Forest from 18 entrances with their scrolls, the second exam began. From now on, everyone we face is an enemy, and what we need to do is to keep snatching scrolls from other teams until we get the scrolls we need. As soon as they entered the Death Forest, Naruto said to Sasuke and Sakura seriously, with a tone of expectation and excitement, "TSK, do you still need to tell me that?" Sasuke and Sakura are not novices. They naturally know what kind of situation they will face after entering the Death Forest. At this time, no one knows what scrolls the others have, so they can only try their best to snatch other people's scrolls until they complete the mission. The most important thing is to guard against natural dangers such as wild beasts along the way, as well as assassinations, traps, poisons and other various means of other teams. It just so happens that Team 7 is well equipped and is not afraid of these means at all. Whether it's a head-on fight or an assassination, Sasuke and Naruto are not afraid at all. If they use poison, hehe, Sakura, the nurse, is not a pushover. Sasuke, Sakura, do you think you should try to eliminate all the candidates here? Naruto came up with a very insidious suggestion before they had walked far into the Death Forest. The Death Forest is so big, how can we eliminate everyone? Sasuke was a little confused about Naruto's suggestion. Just as he said, this place is so big, it is not realistic to eliminate everyone. Do you think I haven't considered this? Naruto smiled and continued, the condition for passing this exam is that you need to bring the two scrolls of heaven and earth to the central tower 10 kilometers away from the edge within 5 days. The team that cannot peek at the scrolls, or has members die, or cannot continue will fail. Then, we just need to get to the central tower one step ahead, and Sasuke and I will ambush at the 2 entrances of the tower, and Sakura will serve as support. Then, when a team comes, we will destroy that team. With the strength of the 3 of us, do you think there is a chance to eliminate everyone? Naruto's proposal is very tempting. Sasuke thought about it. If nothing unexpected happens, There should be no one stronger than the three of them in this exam. The three people from Sunagakure are no match for them. Therefore, Naruto's proposal made Sasuke very excited. As long as all the candidates are eliminated, then the three of them will definitely become Chunin. If everything can be done in the second exam, why wait until the final exam? Okay, I'll do as you say. I knew you would agree. After saying that, the two of them instantly drew out the swords on their backs and threw them into the air, then jumped lightly and stood on their magic sword smoothly. What about Sakura? It's okay, my intermediate magic sword can carry two people. Hearing Sasuke say this, Naruto's mouth curled up, really envious and jealous. When Sakura heard Sasuke say this, her face was serious, but her heart was full of joy. Hold me tight, so you don't fall down. The length of a magic sword is so short. Sakura stood up reluctantly. In order to prevent her from being thrown off, Sasuke had to let her hold him. I'm leaving first. Seeing the two friends dawdling there, Naruto suddenly felt very unhappy, so he simply left first to avoid being fed dog food. Okay, let's go too. Yeah. Seeing Naruto leave first, Sasuke didn't care. After Sakura stood firmly, Sasuke controlled the flying sword to the sky and followed behind Naruto slowly. Hey Sasuke, look, is there someone on the right? After flying into the sky, the field of vision was greatly improved because Sasuke was blocking the wind in front, and Sakura, who was standing behind, could look around. At this glance, she saw that there seemed to be another person flying on their right. Is this the boss? Sasuke's eyesight was better than Sakura's. After watching carefully, he naturally recognized this person. After yelling to remind Naruto, Sasuke controlled the flying sword to fly towards Liang. Hearing Sasuke's yell, Naruto thought something had happened and quickly turned back to look at Sasuke, and then he saw Sasuke flying to the side. Hey, isn't this the uncle? How did he get here? With some doubts, Naruto also controlled the flying sword to fly towards Liang. Why is Liang here? It's mainly because he is very bored. Because of the Chunin exam, there was no customer today. Looking at the empty internet cafe, after saying goodbye to Zabuza and Bay, he stepped on the flying sword and came to the sky above the death forest, wanting to see if he could find some fun. Fortunately, when the internet cafe closed last night, he had anticipated that there would be no business today, so he spent 10 million taels to enter the enlightenment room and successfully learned sword flying, the 10,000 swords technique, and the heavenly sword. Thinking of the 10 million taels he spent, Liang felt distressed. If I don't have some fun today, then wouldn't my 10 million taels be wasted? Not long after he arrived high above the death forest, he saw the three members of class 7 also take off and fly towards him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69 Uzumaki Karin. The speed of the flying sword is determined by the chakra input of the user. At the fastest speed, the flying sword can fly at a speed of 1000 km per hour, which is a little faster than the average jet plane on Earth. Of course, if Sasuke flies at this speed, he may not be able to last for an hour before his chakra is used up. So under normal circumstances, Sasuke will control the speed of the flying sword to about 360 km per hour, which is about 100 meters per second. This speed consumption is within Sasuke's reasonable consumption range, and this speed will not cause Sakura behind him to suffer from a strong airflow. What are you doing here? After a while, the three members of Team 7 stopped in front of Liang. Hearing Liang's question, Naruto replied, "This is a question we want to ask you, uncle. Why did you come to the place where we are taking the exam?" Liang shrugged and said, "I just felt a little bored, so I came to take a look. You don't have to worry about me. It's what it is. Just pretend I don't exist. Is that so? Then we understand." Liang clearly came here to watch the fun. In this case, there is no need for the three of them to stay here and hinder him. Wait a minute. Just as Sasuke and Naruto were about to leave with their flying swords, Liang suddenly called them. "Anything else?" Well, if you meet a girl with red hair during the exam, remember to bring her to me. Hearing that Liang wanted them to bring someone else, the trio immediately became interested and asked for information about the girl. The girl's name is Uzumaki Karin. Well, she and Naruto are both members of the Uzumaki clan. She is not very strong, but she has a strong amount of chakra and excellent perception ability, and the injured can recover their chakra and injuries by biting her skin. Because of her characteristics, she lived a miserable life in the Kusagakure village. Whenever someone was injured, the injured would bite her. This was a heavy burden for her young age. By the way, her mother was bitten to death by these people without regard for the consequences. So, you don't have to worry about becoming a robber and robbing people. You are doing this to save the future of a girl. After listening to Liang's story about Karin, Sasuke was fine. He had seen a lot of miserable things, and he himself had experienced the night of genocide, so he didn't feel anything about Karin's experience. Naruto seemed very excited, whether it was because of her experience, or because they were both members of the Uzumaki clan. He must save this person. Without further delay, we'll go first. Okay, you guys go. After leaving Liang, Naruto discussed with Sasuke and asked them to go to the central tower first. He wanted to search the Death Forest first to see if he could find Karin. One person is not as efficient as two people. Let's search together. What about the central tower? It doesn't matter. It's still early. No team should be able to get there so quickly. Okay, thank you so much. It doesn't matter. We are companions. Sasuke had already reached an agreement with Naruto, and Sakura, as an assistant, naturally had no objection. In this way, the two began to search for Karin separately, and agreed that they would go to the central tower after an hour regardless of whether they found her or not. Sasuke could open the Sharingan and use the powerful insight of the Sharingan to search the forest below. Naruto didn't have the Sharingan, but he had the Nine Tails. Kurama, you have to help me this time. Tell me, young man, how do you want me to help you? Ever since Liang went to talk to the Nine Tails, the Nine Tails has been looking forward to a free life 10 years later, and he has no resistance to Naruto as the human pillar. And during the days of contact with Naruto, it also found that this guy seemed to be quite good. He did not regard himself as a tool of power, but as a friend. Since Naruto is its friend, even if the arrogant Nine Tails does not admit it, it will not prevent it from using some ability to help Naruto. Kurama, use your extremely powerful perception ability to help me search for a member of the Uzumaki clan. A member of the Uzumaki clan. I know. The Nine Tails is no stranger to the people of the Uzumaki clan. Its first human pillar was Uzumaki Mito, and the second human pillar was Naruto's mother Uzumaki Kushina. Therefore, even if the chakra of each member of the Uzumaki clan is different, it is not difficult for it. When the three members of Team 7 were searching for Karin, Orochimaru, who sneaked into the Forest of Death, seemed to be in a lot of trouble. He used his clone to go to the appointment with Danzo last night, but as soon as he arrived at the agreed place, he suffered a strong attack from the root members. Fortunately, he used his clone to go. Otherwise, facing the powerful encirclement of the root, it would be difficult for him to escape. This made him a little depressed. He originally wanted to go and test who was pretending to be Danzo, but he didn't expect that his clone died before he even saw Danzo. It doesn't matter if he didn't test it. Anyway, his main goal now is Sasuke, not that old guy Danzo. However, he has been in the Forest of Death for half an hour, and he hasn't found any trace of Sasuke. Isn't this ridiculous? How can it be so difficult for Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas, to find someone in the Forest of Death? Did he really think that the group of small snakes he summoned were eels that only knew how to dig the soil? This is also because Orochimaru doesn't know much about internet cafes. If he had played Chinese Paladin 1, he would understand that Sasuke can also step on the sword to fly into the sky. I didn't expect to have an unexpected gain. Just when Orochimaru was in pain, a small snake sent him a piece of information that he was very interested in. After learning the information, Orochimaru gave up looking for Sasuke and turned to rush in another direction. In a certain place in the Death Forest, the Kusanagi team just wiped out a small team. Except for Karin, who stayed in the back, the two Kusanagi in the same group were more or less injured. Don't you see that I'm injured? Come here and let me bite you. Hurry up, you are just a waste. Facing two ferocious teammates, Karen had no choice but to grit her teeth and come in front of them and stretch out her arm. The two of them took one arm each and bit Karen roughly. The loss of chakra and the pain in her arm made Karen groan. Go and see what scroll is on the ground. The two men who had recovered from their injuries were afraid that the enemy might have poison on the scroll, so they ordered Karen to go and check. Karen had no ability to resist these two teammates, so she had to carefully pick up the scroll on the ground. Chapter 17 Naruto vs Orochimaru. It's the Sky Scroll. Damn it, hearing that the scroll was not the Earth Scroll that their team needed, one of them kicked Karen directly and knocked her to the ground. It's because your hands are smelly that this scroll is not the Earth Scroll we need. Why do your hands stink so much? If it was the Earth Scroll, we could go directly to the central tower instead of risking our lives to continue to grab the scroll. In the end, it's all your fault. The man kicked Karen hard while speaking. The other man saw his companions mistreating Karen like this, but he didn't say anything. In their eyes, Karen was not a companion at all. She was just a medicine man who helped them successfully become a chunin. Since she was not a companion, it shouldn't matter if she was mistreated. Karen fell to the ground while recalling the experience of her mother and daughter in the Kusagakure village. She gritted her teeth and endured the abuse of the abuser. In the past, she hoped that someone would come forward to save her. Unfortunately, the cruel reality would only disappoint her every time. She no longer expected anyone to save her. She just hoped that she could survive like this. Why was it so difficult? Mom, it seems that I will come to you soon. The man kicked Karen harder and harder, perhaps to vent his fear of the Chunin exam, or perhaps just to abuse Karen. Just when Karen rolled her eyes and thought she was going to die, she suddenly heard a voice. Damn bastards, what are you doing? Who is it? The Kusagakure team turned their heads in surprise and looked at the source of the voice. They saw a yellow-haired man standing on a floating sword, looking at them with a ferocious face. The two were frightened by Naruto's appearance and turned around to run away. But they couldn't bear to leave Karen, the medicine man. So when they ran away, they wanted to drag Karen with them. Assholes, don't touch her. Seeing that the two wanted to drag Karen, even when they ran away, Naruto was really angry at this moment. Sword control technique go. XIU Naruto jumped off the flying sword and ran while controlling the flying sword to attack the two people. After a round of attacks, the two ninjas screamed and fell to the ground. The flying sword was sheathed. Naruto ignored the two dead grass ninjas and hugged Karen directly, patting her face, trying to wake up Karen's consciousness. Hey, wake up. Don't die like this. In a daze, Karen felt a very warm chakra, a feeling she had only experienced in her mother. She thought she was dead and was now in her mother's arms. But why do I still feel so much pain? Why is this pain so real? The pain in her body made Karen realize that she didn't seem to be dead, but was lying in the arms of another person. She tried to open her eyes and saw a boy with yellow hair and 6 whiskers at the corners of his mouth. How you finally woke up. Seeing Karen open her eyes, Naruto was relieved, because he knew that as long as Karen was alive, Sakura's Guanyin mantra would save her. Just when Naruto wanted to leave here and go to meet Sasuke, a round of applause came. I was wondering why I couldn't find Sasuke. It turns out that it's because you can all fly. Naruto recognized the hoarse voice, pale skin, and disgusting tongue at a glance. This guy's Orochimaru. Orochimaru? What are you doing here? Looking at Orochimaru, Naruto showed vigilance and protected Karen behind him. Can you hand this girl over to me? Orochimaru was very interested in Karen. He already knew the specialness of Karen, so he gave up looking for Sasuke and turned around to come here. Unfortunately, Naruto got there first. Do you think I will give Karen to you? Karen, who was hiding behind Naruto, felt a warm feeling in her body and mind when she heard Naruto say this. Then there is no other way. It seems that I can only take it by force. Shadow Snake Hand. With that, Orochimaru took action. Looking at the 3 pythons attacking him, Naruto reacted quickly. He hooked his index and middle fingers upwards, unsheathed his flying sword, and in a flash, the 3 snakes were cut in half. The internet cafe is really a magical place. Orochimaru, who missed the attack, did not continue to attack, but sighed at the magic of the internet cafe. Orochimaru, think it through. Karin is the person that the uncle specifically asked for. Do you dare to offend the uncle? Hearing Orochimaru muttering like this, Naruto wanted to slap himself. Why did he come here? Wasn't it because of Liang's instructions that he learned about Karin's experience? Naruto didn't believe that Orochimaru dared to offend Liang. Is that so? It can be seen from the fact that Orochimaru did not continue to attack Sasuke in the internet cafe, that he was indeed very afraid of Liang. In addition, Liang showed him what Danzo looked like, so he didn't want to offend Liang even more. But he didn't want to let Karin go because of her special physique. If he took Karin away, he would definitely offend Liang. If he didn't take Karin away, it would have some impact on his research. After weighing the pros and cons, Orochimaru made a compromise. How about this? You only need to give me 2 or 3 tubes of her blood, and I will let you go. Karin heard this, and instinctively wanted to lift her sleeves, because in her opinion, it was indeed a good deal to get rid of such an enemy with 3 tubes of blood. But he didn't expect that Naruto would refuse. Go to hell, don't think I'm afraid of you. If you want Karin's blood, you have to step over my body. Karin was a little dumbfounded. She didn't understand why Naruto refused. It was just 3 tubes of blood, not her life. But with Naruto's protection, her heart was warm at the moment. She finally knew what it felt like to have a real companion. In that case, don't blame me. At this moment, Orochimaru made a decision. He couldn't give up Karin, who was about to get her. So what if it's Liang? It's not like he hasn't offended people who are stronger than him. Didn't you see that he lived so freely after leaving Akatsuki? In his heart, the leader of Akatsuki who possesses a Rinnegan is more dangerous than Liang. Since Akatsuki can't find him, let alone Liang. As long as I hide a little, no one can find me. 10,000 swords technique. Seeing Orochimaru's momentum change, Naruto knew that he was going to take action, so he immediately released his ultimate move. And by the way, he also created a shadow clone to protect Karin to prevent her from being affected. This is a really powerful attack. Looking at the flying swords in the sky, even Orochimaru couldn't help but feel a chill. Chapter 71 Naruto vs Orochimaru. Looking at the flying swords in the sky, Orochimaru didn't have time to think about it, and his hands began to flash quickly. Wind style, great breakthrough. Orochimaru thought very well. There were so many flying swords in the sky, and his chance of dodging them was too low. He might be able to blow these flying swords away with a great breakthrough. The idea was beautiful, but the reality was cruel. The 10,000 swords technique could not be blown away by a mere great breakthrough. Seeing Orochimaru using ninjutsu, Naruto increased his chakra output for safety reasons, while keeping the flying sword stable, while controlling the flying sword to attack Orochimaru. Pervert, die. The great breakthrough had no effect, and Orochimaru felt that it was going to be bad. At the moment when the flying sword attacked him, he barely used the substitution technique to dodge this attack. It's not over yet. Naruto was not surprised that Orochimaru used the substitution technique to dodge. After all, the person opposite was one of the legendary 3 ninjas. Liang said that this was a level higher than the Jonin. How could such a being be killed so easily? Kurama, tell me, where is he? It's about 100 meters to your left. Okay. With the help of Kurama, Naruto easily determined the position of Orochimaru. No need to say, just do it. Go using the sword control technique to control the 10,000 swords. Naruto's chakra is consumed every moment. Even if he has a large amount of chakra, he can't withstand such consumption. Naruto wanted to make a quick decision. After learning the position of Orochimaru, he immediately controlled the flying sword to encircle Orochimaru. Damn, you can find me like this? Orochimaru's hiding place is very hidden, behind a big tree, and he has added the white snake gene to himself, so his heartbeat and blood are different from those of normal people. Even some perception type ninjas can't sense Orochimaru like this. Unexpectedly, he was discovered by Naruto. Die. I won't. Facing the attack of the 10,000 swords that came again, Orochimaru quickly made another seal. As he formed a seal, The densely packed flying swords successfully attacked his body. As the flying swords attacked, Orochimaru screamed. When the last sword pierced his body, Orochimaru's body had become a pool of meat paste. Seeing this, Naruto did not show any joy. Naruto, be careful, this man is not dead yet. With the perception of Kurama, Naruto is actually a human radar. As long as Kurama remembers his chakra, he cannot escape its perception within a certain range. Come out, Orochimaru, I don't believe you will die so easily. Naruto looked around vigilantly and said slowly. Not far in front of Naruto, a figure slowly rose from the soil. Wasn't it Orochimaru? I really underestimated you, kid. I didn't expect that Orochimaru, one of the 3 great ninjas, would be like a mouse, hiding here and there. It's really funny to think about it. Looking at the panting Orochimaru, Naruto knew that he was able to dodge the attack of the 10,000 swords technique twice, but it was not without a price. A child should act like a child, otherwise it would be bad to offend people who shouldn't be offended. As expected of Orochimaru, even if he consumed a lot of chakra to dodge the attack, so what? At least he couldn't admit defeat on the scene. People who shouldn't be offended? You don't mean yourself, do you? I don't think there will be any consequences for offending a stray dog. Controlling the 10,000 swords technique with all your strength consumes a lot of chakra. Naruto's body has not grown up yet. Even if he faces such consumption, he needs to slow down, so he doesn't mind talking nonsense. Orochimaru is so experienced that he can see at a glance that Naruto's chakra consumption is also very large and wants to talk to him to delay time. Summoning technique. Bang. Orochimaru did not continue to talk nonsense and chose to use the summoning technique to summon the snake. Lord Orochimaru, what do you want me to do? Go and bring me the little girl behind him. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. The summoned Orochimaru listened to Orochimaru's words very much. After hearing his order, he began to move behind Naruto. Don't even think about it. Multiple shadow clone technique. Swish, swish, swish. Even though Naruto consumed a lot of energy, he still separated 20 shadow clones to stop the snake. Have you forgotten my existence? With 20 shadow clones blocking him, Orochimaru knew that, unless he summoned 10,000 snakes, it would be quite difficult for the other snakes to break through this number of shadow clones. But he had no choice. 10,000 snakes had a very difficult personality. If he said something inappropriate after summoning, would he still be able to maintain his status as a boss? Ninjutsu, 10,000 snakes formation. In order to stop Naruto, Orochimaru chose to use his ultimate move. So Orochimaru is a pervert. He opened his bloody mouth to Naruto, and thousands of small snakes crawled out of his mouth. Seeing so many small snakes attacking him, even Naruto couldn't help but get goosebumps. Kurama, give me chakra. No problem. Facing such an attack, even if Naruto wanted to use the 10,000 swords technique, it was too late, so he quickly called the Ninetales for help. The Ninetales was also very powerful and directly gave Naruto a large amount of chakra. With the injection of chakra, a layer of chakra coat immediately appeared on Naruto's body, and a tail composed of the Ninetales chakra also appeared behind him. Just when Naruto felt the power of the Ninetales chakra, Orochimaru's 10,000 snakes formation attack had already arrived in front of him. Looking at the small snakes that were attached to the chakra coat and kept biting wildly, Naruto was not panicked at all and even wanted to laugh. The Ninetales chakra is very corrosive. Even if he stands still, all the little snakes will be corroded by the Ninetales chakra. But will Naruto not move? Of course not. Facing so many little snakes, Naruto took advantage of the fact that his chakra coat can be stretched and retracted freely, and directly used the demon fox claw to attack Orochimaru, who was still spitting snakes. Seeing the demon fox claw attacking, Orochimaru immediately stopped spitting snakes and jumped and rolled away from the spot. Ninetales Jinchuriki. Without waiting for Orochimaru to be surprised, Naruto controlled the demon fox claw to turn and attack the big python that was entangled by the shadow clone. Bang! The big python didn't expect Naruto to have this trick and was caught accidentally. The corrosion of the Ninetales chakra made the big python scream, and after a while, it automatically released the summoning and returned to the Ryochi cave. Seeing that Karen was no longer in danger, Naruto also removed his shadow clone and the demon fox coat on his body. It was not that Naruto did not want to stay in this state, but because the corrosiveness of the Ninetales chakra did not distinguish between friend and foe. He was able to hold on for such a long time, after consuming so much energy, and using the demon fox coat for the first time, which was already very good. If it lasted any longer, his body would be corroded by the demon fox coat, and suffer a lot of damage. Chapter 72 Naruto, this must be my posture wrong. After removing the demon fox coat, Naruto began to breathe heavily. To be honest, this was the first time Naruto felt a feeling of insufficient chakra. It seems that I won this time. With both sides having very little chakra left, could Naruto, a newly graduated genin, defeat Orochimaru, who has rich combat experience? At this moment, Orochimaru felt that he had secured victory. Unfortunately, there was a will of heaven. At this moment, Red Bean arrived with several members of the Anbu. Orochimaru, I won't let you get away this time. It turned out that as early as the candidates entered the Forest of Death, Red Bean received news from her subordinates and saw the bodies of 3 Kusagakure ninjas with their faces destroyed. As a former disciple of Orochimaru, she naturally knew that Orochimaru could use the defacement technique. This is a cold-blooded ninjutsu that takes someone else's appearance as one's own. Since it uses real human skin, there is no flaw. Thinking of this, Red Bean immediately thought of Orochimaru. So she sent someone to tell the third Hokage, while leading people into the Death Forest to look for Orochimaru. Fortunately, the battle between Naruto and Orochimaru was quite noisy, otherwise it would be difficult for Red Bean to find Orochimaru. Examiner Red Bean, I'll leave this to you. Seeing Red Bean and several Anbu arriving, Naruto didn't stop at all, picked up Karen and left. At this time, Red Bean only had eyes for Orochimaru, and she didn't care about Naruto's departure. It seems that you have grown up over the years. Red Bean was Orochimaru's favorite disciple at the beginning, and he had some feelings for Red Bean after living together for so many years. If he didn't have feelings, he would have taken her away directly when he defected, instead of letting her live in the safety of Konoha. Now seeing Red Bean again, seeing that she hated him so much, Orochimaru didn't get angry, but felt very relieved. I'm not the same person I was back then. Shadow Snake Hand. Red Bean didn't want to reminisce with Orochimaru, and raised her hand to attack with a python. Wind style, suppression. Fire style, great fireball technique. Seeing that Red Bean was already defeated, several Anbu nearby also left and used offensive ninjutsu. Facing these attacks, Orochimaru laughed and stood still without dodging. Bang, all ninjutsu hit Orochimaru. Seeing such a scene, Red Bean not only did not show a happy expression, but frowned. She felt that Orochimaru could not be solved so easily. Sure enough, when the burning flame disappeared, only a charred snakeskin was left. Damn, he escaped. Red Bean punched the ground with an unwilling look on her face. It turned out that the reason why Orochimaru stood there and talked to Red Bean was actually to reduce Red Bean's vigilance so that he could use the snakeskin escape technique. However, he did not expect that Red Bean hated him so much that she did not talk to him much but attacked directly. Fortunately, he still completed this technique and escaped calmly. Naruto did not know whether Red Bean would catch Orochimaru. He only knew that he finally got rid of that pervert. After letting the Ninetales sense the surroundings and knowing that there were no enemies, Naruto put Karen down and took the opportunity to rest. Although the battle with Orochimaru just now was short, he spent a lot of chakra and physical strength. Now he is running all the way with Karen in his arms, even he needs to slow down. Excuse me, who are you? Karen was fully conscious at this time and asked Naruto, who was panting, in a low voice. Hey, I'm a Konoha ninja, Uzumaki Naruto, and your name is Uzumaki Karen, right? You can tell from the name that we are both members of the Uzumaki clan. Clan member? Karen muttered to herself when she heard the word clan member. She didn't expect to meet her own clan member in Konoha, and this clan member also saved her. Thinking of her life in the Kusagakure ninja, which was worse than death, and now she is out of the sea of suffering, she started to cry. Hey, don't cry. Naruto had no experience in persuading others. Looking at Karen crying, he was helpless for a while and could only watch Karen cry. Karen didn't cry for long. She was just venting the negative emotions that had been accumulated in her heart. As Karen's crying became quieter, Naruto quickly said, "You should stay in Konoha with peace of mind in the future, so that you won't be bullied." Hearing what Naruto said, Karen's eyes were filled with tears and she asked weakly, "Really? Don't worry, I will protect you." Naruto patted his chest to assure, looking very confident. "Yeah." Karen blushed. It was the first time she heard such words. At this time, Naruto's figure instantly became much taller in her eyes. "Okay, it's almost time to rest. We should leave." "Okay." After resting for a while, Naruto felt that it was almost time to meet up with Sasuke and Sakura. The flying sword was unsheathed, and Naruto jumped on it directly, and then he was confused. He just remembered that his magic sword was only a primary one, and it seemed that it could only carry one person. What's wrong? Seeing Naruto standing on the flying sword with a silly look on his face, Karen couldn't help but ask, "Well, I forgot that my flying sword can only carry one person. Is that so?" Karen was disappointed. She thought Naruto would abandon her. "It's okay, Naruto Jiki, I'll walk out by myself." Seeing Karen's disappointed eyes and hearing her call him brother, Naruto's stubborn temper suddenly came up. He didn't believe that such a long sword couldn't hold two people. "Don't worry, Karen, I said I won't abandon you. Come up and try first." Hearing Naruto's answer, Karen smiled and nodded fiercely, then also jumped onto the flying sword. "Stand still." Flying sword, rise. Seeing that Karen had successfully stood on the sword, Naruto immediately used the magic formula of flying the sword, and then, nothing happened. Standing on the sword, Naruto looked embarrassed, but Karen behind him covered her mouth and laughed secretly. "This is a mistake. It must be my posture that is wrong." As he said that, Naruto made a posture that he thought was very handsome, and then said, "Flying sword, rise." Still no movement. Seeing that there was still no movement, Naruto chose to sit on the flying sword again. Flying sword, take off. After trying several postures in a row, the flying sword was like a car without gasoline, silent and motionless, which did not give Uzumaki Naruto face at all. "I just don't believe it." Naruto couldn't figure out why only one person could fly, but not two people. Well, this question should be asked to the system. Even Liang can't explain it. "Brother Naruto, why don't we give up?" Seeing that Naruto had tried so many times and it didn't work, Karen seemed to have accepted her fate and jumped off the flying sword directly. "Wait a minute." Looking at the malnourished and slightly petite Karen, Naruto suddenly had an idea in his mind. Chapter 73 Shameless Konoha, I'm going to withdraw from the competition. The more Naruto thought about this idea, the more reliable it seemed. Can't a primary flying sword only carry one person? Then I hold Karen, and I'm the only one standing on the sword. If Karen can't touch the flying sword, then won't it be considered one person? Naruto did it. As soon as he thought of it, he hugged Karen like a princess, and before she could react, he stood on the flying sword and used the magic formula. This time, the flying sword didn't go against Naruto and successfully flew into the sky. Haha, I can think of such a thing. I, Uzumaki Naruto, am worthy of being a genius. Naruto was very excited after flying into the sky, and he kept praising himself. Yes, even the system probably didn't expect that there would be such a loophole to exploit. Seeing Naruto bragging about himself, Karen's face turned red again. He held Karen in his arms and flew all the way. Just when they were about to reach the central tower, Naruto saw Sasuke, who was also in the sky. He yelled at Sasuke, made some gestures, and then Naruto prepared to land. After Naruto put Karen down on the ground, Sasuke also arrived with Sakura. "Naruto, are you okay?" Because Sasuke was looking in the opposite direction from Naruto, he didn't notice the fight between Naruto and Orochimaru. However, looking at Naruto, who was covered in dust and looked a little embarrassed, he could feel that Naruto must have fought with someone. "It's okay, I just had a fight with Orochimaru. That pervert again." Hearing that Naruto had a fight with Orochimaru, Sasuke's face showed resentment. "Did you use the 10,000 swords technique?" Sasuke saw that a crack had appeared on Naruto's sword. The magic sword itself was extremely strong. Except for Naruto using the 10,000 swords technique beyond his level, he really couldn't think of anything else that could destroy the magic sword. Well, I used it once, but he still dodged it. Naruto touched his hair and looked a little depressed. The power of the 10,000 swords technique is very strong, but Orochimaru's life-saving trick is also very powerful. Sooner or later, I will kill him. Sasuke will definitely not let go of the pervert who wants to take over his body. Since the 10,000 swords technique can't kill him, then use the heavenly sword. If the heavenly sword doesn't work, there's the sword master. If the sword master doesn't work, there's the sword god. He just didn't believe it. If Orochimaru could survive the 10,000 swords technique, could he also survive the sword god? By the way, this is Karen. The topic came to an end, and Naruto hurriedly introduced Karen to Sasuke and Sakura. Hello, I'm Uzumaki Karen. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. My name is Haruno Sakura. Looking at the timid Karen, Sasuke's attitude was average, but Sakura seemed very friendly. Sakura, you treat Karen. No problem. With the Guanyin mantra, Karen's mental state and injuries on her body improved a lot, and even the consumed chakra was restored a little. It's not completely healed. Karen has been abused by the Kusanagi for a long time, resulting in a lot of external injuries on her body. It is indeed not enough to use the Guanyin mantra only once. But if it doesn't work once, then use it twice. If it is used more times, even some seriously injured people can be saved. Karen's injuries were indeed serious. In addition to external injuries, there were also many hidden and internal injuries. Sakura used the Guanyin mantra 4 times before she completely cured Karen. I think I need to rest. Sakura didn't have much chakra, and she could only use the Guanyin mantra about 10 times at most. Now, in order to treat Karen, she used it 4 times quickly. A large amount of chakra was consumed, causing her face to be a little pale. Karen was very happy to find that her body was better than ever before, but now she was shocked to see Sakura like this, and her face showed worry. Don't worry, I just consumed too much chakra for a while, and I will be fine after a rest. Hearing Sakura say this, Karen was relieved. After resting for a while, Sakura felt much better, and the 3 members of Team 7 decided to act according to the plan they had agreed on in advance. Because there was suddenly an extra Karen in the team, Naruto decided to let Karen enter the central tower first. Karen seemed very reluctant to leave Naruto, but she also knew that she was now a complete burden, and following Naruto would only distract him. So although she was reluctant, she had no choice but to enter the central tower honestly. Naruto had just told her that if she encountered difficulties, she should report Liang's name. This name is probably not well known among many ninjas, but it is very famous in the Enbu. Naruto knew that there were many Enbu guards around and inside the central tower. As long as Karen reported Liang's name, no one would dare to provoke her. Well, except for the madman Orochimaru. Speaking of Orochimaru, after getting rid of Karen, he first found the Sound Ninja Trio and told them to prioritize the Chunin exam and temporarily postpone the task of finding Sasuke. After saying that, he went to find Kabuto Yakushi and told him not to rush to find Naruto and Sasuke. Others are flying in the sky, and you are looking for them on the ground. It would be a miracle if you can find them. After giving the order, Orochimaru was ready to leave the Death Forest. There were too many Enbu in the Death Forest now, and if he stayed here, he might get into trouble. However, when he was about to leave, he suddenly felt a sense of danger. Without saying a word, Orochimaru bit his thumb and quickly formed seals with both hands. Summoning technique, Triple Rashomon. At the moment, when the Triple Rashomon was summoned, an extremely huge long sword attacked the Rashomon. Before Orochimaru could feel lucky that he had escaped again, he saw that the Rashomon began to collapse one by one. What? Seeing such a scene, Orochimaru couldn't believe his eyes at all. You have to know that Hashirama Senju used the 5-fold Rashomon to defend against the 9-tailed beast bull. Even if he used a weakened version of the 3-fold Rashomon, it was not made of paper. What kind of situation was it that was directly pierced? Before he could think clearly, he saw that the long sword was still moving and attacked him directly. The huge pressure of death made Orochimaru's whole body sore, and it was extremely difficult to raise his hands. At the critical moment, Orochimaru used all his strength to start to form a seal. He knew that, if he didn't dodge this attack, he might really die. Boom. The long sword hit Orochimaru, and a strong explosion burst out. Within a radius of 300 meters, the trees began to evaporate, and the land began to collapse. This huge attack directly attracted everyone around the death forest. What kind of attack is this? And the noise is so loud. Ananbu heard the noise, and felt a little incredible. This is just the Chunin exam, not the 4th Ninja War. Is it necessary to be so exaggerated? Damn, Konoha's people are so shameless, that they actually arranged for a Jonin to participate in the Chunin exam. I want to withdraw from the competition. That's right, Konoha is the most shameless. I want to withdraw from the competition too. The candidates for the exam also heard the noise. Not only that, some candidates who were close to them also saw the exaggerated explosion, which scared them so much that they wanted to withdraw from the competition. Chapter 74, Deal with Orochimaru. The 3 members of Team 7 also heard such a strong noise. After flying into the sky, they saw that the forest in the distance had disappeared and was replaced by a huge meteorite crater. With such a powerful attack, the 3 of them knew that it was caused by Liang. How about it? Should we go over there? Forget it. I can't think of anyone else in this forest except Orochimaru who can make the boss use such a powerful attack. Nodding, Orochimaru dared to attack Karin and offend the uncle, so he had to be prepared to pay the price. It would be great if we could kill Orochimaru. Orochimaru finally successfully used the substitution technique. However, he underestimated the power of this attack. The strong explosion shockwave directly injured him seriously. At this time, Orochimaru was lying on the ground spitting blood, looking like he was about to die. Come on, my heavenly sword didn't hit you directly, it was just the aftermath. Who are you showing this to now? Standing on the flying sword, Liang looked down at Orochimaru with an unhappy face. Is that so? Sure enough, nothing can be hidden from you. That's right, don't look at how miserable Orochimaru is now. This is completely for Liang to see. He knows that Liang seems to have known about his attack on Karin, and the attack just now is a punishment for him. In order to vent Liang's anger, he naturally has to make himself miserable. But now that Liang has seen through him, his miserable appearance is meaningless. Wow, Orochimaru raised his head and tried to open his big mouth, and then a brand new Orochimaru came out of his mouth. Orochi style substitution technique. Don't look at this technique as very disgusting, but it is indeed a life-saving skill. Using the external body as a substitute, no matter how serious the external injury is, as long as Orochimaru's chakra is enough to use this technique, he can fully recover. Of course, this does not involve the injury to the soul. Tell me, Orochimaru, how do you want to die? The reborn Orochimaru gasped for air, and it was obvious that using the Orochimaru style substitution technique consumed a lot of his chakra. However, after hearing what Liang said, Orochimaru not only did not show a frustrated look, but his mouth corners slightly curled up, looking very happy. Do you think I won't kill you? Although I don't know why, I don't think you will kill me. If you want to kill me, just do it directly. There is no need to ask more questions. It is true that Liang did not want to kill Orochimaru, not for the so-called plot, but because he admired Orochimaru as a person. The anime Naruto is also known as the Legend of the Eyes. In this ninja world where the better the bloodline, the more powerful it is, Orochimaru, as a civilian, can strengthen himself through scientific means. Liang really admires such a person with a scientific spirit. The Sky Sword just now was a punishment for Orochimaru. If he didn't dodge it, he would die. If he dodges it, Liang doesn't mind sparing his life. Of course, this comes at a price. You guessed right, I really won't kill you. Then what price do I need to pay? Ninjutsu? Or wealth? Talking to smart people is easy. Before Liang even put forward the conditions, Orochimaru took the initiative to say it. I want ninjutsu, and I want money too. Okay, I will give you enough money and ninjutsu to satisfy you. Liang was very satisfied with Orochimaru's attitude, but he had no use for too many ninjutsu. Even if he gave them to Sasuke and other weaklings to practice, they probably wouldn't think much of them. Of the ninjutsu in Orochimaru's collection, Liang only had one that he liked. Give me money as you see fit, and I don't want too many ninjutsu from you. You just need to give me the forbidden technique of impure world reincarnation. Imperial world reincarnation? I understand. Seeing that Orochimaru agreed, Liang had nothing to say. That's it. The noise just now may have alarmed Konoha. You'd better run away quickly. I'm still waiting for you to give me money and forbidden techniques. After saying that, Liang controlled the flying sword to take off directly into the air and disappeared into the horizon. Liang left, and Orochimaru naturally had to leave too. Fortunately, he knew a lot of escape moves, and after Liang flew away, he also successfully left the Death Forest. Shortly after the two left, the third Hokage arrived with a large group of people and saw the body left by Orochimaru using the snake-style substitution technique. Orochimaru? Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that Orochimaru had returned to Konoha. When someone found him pretending to be Danzo, he wanted to capture Orochimaru. Unfortunately, the person Orochimaru sent to the appointment was just a clone. He still felt very sorry that he didn't catch Orochimaru, fearing that this guy would cause some damage in Konoha. Now seeing this scene, it seems that he failed to cause damage and was attacked by others. There was no grass within a radius of 300 meters. The only person in Konoha who could use such an attack was probably Liang. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen decided to have a good talk with Liang after the Chunin exam. It was a bit of a waste to leave such a powerful fighting force unused. Block all entrances and exits of Konoha village. No one is allowed to enter, and search for Orochimaru with all your strength. Yes. The decision of the third Hokage did not affect the trio of Team 7. After waiting for several hours at the entrance of the central tower, Naruto finally had a guest. Howitsum. Just like the original work, the first people to arrive at the central tower besides Team 7 were the Sand Village team. Since it's them, let's just say hello. Naruto's so-called hello was not to say hello to them, but to control the flying sword and attack Gaara directly. Be careful, there is an ambush. Temari reacted quickly. When she saw someone attacking, she immediately pulled Kankuro to dodge. As for Gaara, there was no need to dodge. Gaara, who had the sand shield as a defense, did not dodge. He thought that this attack would be blocked by the sand as usual. Unfortunately, the power of the sword control technique was not something that a pile of sand could stop. As expected, the sand could not stop Naruto's flying sword at all, and it successfully hit Gaara's body. Gaara. Seeing Gaara being attacked, Temari and Kankuro were shocked and quickly ran to Gaara's side and began to be alert. Don't be so nervous. At this time, Naruto came out of the woods, hooked his little hand, and the flying sword returned to the sheath. It's you. Why did you attack Gaara? The yellow-haired man in front of him was one of the few people who could make Gaara lose face. For such a person, Temari was naturally very wary. What you said is really funny. We are all candidates for the Chunin exam. Do I need a reason to attack you? Chapter 75 Naruto vs the Sand Village Trio. The essence of this exam is the battle for the scroll. Hearing Temari say this, Naruto couldn't help but feel amused. Then we give you the scroll. Can you let us go? Looking at the flying sword floating in the air, Temari chose to admit defeat. Hey, don't you want to resist? Naruto was very surprised. I have already attacked you directly, but you choose to admit defeat. This script doesn't seem right. Yes, we don't resist, we choose to give you the scroll, so can you let us in? Is that so? Naruto is a little embarrassed now. If others are so well behaved, wouldn't it make him look petty if he still attacks? However, these three people are strong. If they are allowed to enter the central tower, the subsequent exams will definitely add some unnecessary variables. After thinking for a while, he shook his head to refuse. So, there is no room for negotiation? No room for negotiation. Well, let's do it. Seeing that Naruto was determined not to let them go, Temari immediately called Kankuro and Gaara to start the fight. Damn, you guys are so cunning. It turned out that when Temari was talking to Naruto, Kankuro had quietly moved the puppet to Naruto's blind spot, and Gaara, who was hit by Naruto's friendship face punch yesterday, surprisingly did not get angry when facing this yellow-haired man again today, and secretly used the concealment of the sand to ambush around Naruto. Now, with Temari's order, the puppet next to him the sand under his feet, and the wind escape from the front. The three-way attack directly put Naruto in a very dangerous situation. He also saw that the three people were well prepared, so he said that these three people were insidious. But you have a plan. I have a ladder. Facing the three-way attack, Naruto did not dodge, but stood there directly, waiting for the attack to come. Pop. The three-way attack directly hit Naruto, but this Naruto was not the real body, but a shadow clone. After the baptism of internet cafe games and a battle with Orochimaru, Naruto is no longer the iron-headed man. Especially in the battle with Orochimaru, the powerful life-saving technique of the substitute was an eye-opener for Naruto. It turned out that the substitute technique could be used in this way. Naruto was not as good as Orochimaru in using the substitute technique, but he had a shadow clone. To some extent, the shadow clone was also a life-saving skill. For the sake of caution, the Naruto who walked out of the shadow was not his real body at all, but a shadow clone. It was this cautious behavior that made him look so calm in the face of this attack. Multiple shadow clone technique. Swish. The shadow clone on the table was destroyed, and Naruto created dozens of shadow clones, which went to entangle the three people respectively. His own real body hid in the back, and used the sword control technique to attack. Wind style, Kametachi. Puppet technique, Crow. Sand shuriken. Faced with so many shadow clones attacking, the Sand Village trio also began their own counterattack. Among the three, Gaara was in the best condition. He not only had sand to help him defend, but also had many early attack ninjutsu. The second was Temari. She didn't have sand to help her defend, but her fan could amplify the power of wind ninjutsu. A small C-level wind ninjutsu made her feel like a B-level ninjutsu. After waving the fan several times, the dozen or so shadow clones he faced disappeared. Kanjuro was in the worst condition. To be honest, Kanjuro's strength was not weak. It's just that he was suitable for single combat, not for group combat. As a puppeteer, most of his strength depended on puppets. However, he had not yet reached the level of a Jonin in terms of chakra control or his own skills. The puppet of Crow was not prepared for group combat. So Kanjuro had a hard time dealing with the attacks of more than a dozen Narutos, and Naruto, the old bastard, was hiding in the back and using the sword control technique. Kanjuro, MD, what are you doing? Gaara is the strongest among us, why don't you go after him? At this moment, Kanjuro had to deal with the harassment of the shadow clones and dodge the attacks of the flying swords. He felt that it was too difficult for him. Temari, come and help me. With a glance, he saw that Temari and Gaara had already dealt with all the shadow clones, so he quickly called Temari to help. The reason why Kanjuro didn't ask Gaara to help was that he was afraid that Gaara would kill him while attacking the shadow clones. He was really a little afraid of this younger brother. Hold on. Seeing that Kanjuro was in danger, Temari was about to use a wind escape at him. At this time, she didn't care whether Kanjuro would be injured by mistake. She had to save him first. Unfortunately, Temari's action was still a little slow. When Kanjuro glanced at Temari and Gaara with his peripheral vision, the flying sword, under the cover of the shadow clone, took the opportunity to fly behind him, and then the sword was swung horizontally, directly sweeping Kanjuro's head. Kanjuro was hit and fainted directly. Deal with one. Naruto, who was hiding behind, seemed very satisfied with his results. It was just one round of attack, and one of the opponents lost his fighting consciousness and fell into a coma. If there were 2 more rounds, wouldn't they all be dealt with? Thinking of this, Naruto followed the good and created dozens of shadow clones to harass them, and he still used the flying sword to attack Temari from behind. But this time Naruto miscalculated. Seeing Naruto's attack coming again, Temari hurriedly wanted to wave the fan in her hand, but this time she failed to wave it successfully, because Gaara's side exploded. After the previous round of attacks, the ground was now full of sand, and the field with sand was his home field. Look, all the shadow clones standing on the ground were entangled by Gaara's sand, and then he used the sand coffin to crush them one by one. Seeing this scene, Naruto also knew that the previous trick would not work, and walked out from the shadows behind with regret. Seeing Naruto's real body appear, Gaara raised his hand without saying a word, and fired a sand shuriken. Such a simple attack, Naruto naturally dodged it easily. It is impolite not to return the favor. After dodging the attack, Naruto also controlled the flying sword to attack Gaara. However, Gaara has sand defense and a layer of sand armor on his body. Unless Naruto is determined to kill Gaara, the flying sword will not have any effect on Gaara. The fact is just as he thought. With the sand armor, the general flying sword attack has no other effect, except to make Gaara angry. The flying sword was retracted, and Naruto looked at the sand everywhere around him, and felt a little tricky. His original intention was to knock them out, and take their scrolls, not to kill them. As for Gaara, who was also a Jinchuriki, Naruto was still thinking about making friends with him after the exam. Gaara, who the hell wants to be your friend? Get out of here. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.